now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Okay, good afternoon, folks. We're here at the elections headquarters in Baytown Plaza, right in West Bay Road, having a quick word with Mr. Wesley Howell, who is Supervisor of Elections. Mr. Howell, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for taking some time out of our busy
ours is
busy too, to spend just a few minutes with us. Can you just give us a quick synopsis of what we can expect to happen over the next couple of days in terms of the election? We're literally 2 days out from Wednesday, the general election.
Yeah, so we've wrapped up mobile polling yesterday afternoon. We polled persons in quarantine. We did some in the Brack on Saturday and Grand Cayman on Sunday. So now all of our attention is geared towards finalizing all of the materials and staff needed to conduct the polls on Wednesday. Everybody's in quite high gear in the back end here proceeding. We also have quite a steady flow of voters coming in to get their ID cards. So remind folks that ID cards are preferred, but if you have another form of identification like a driver's license or a passport, then you could also use that to vote as well.
Mm-hmm. And the only reason you would really need a new voter's ID card is if some information on that card has changed, such as your name or polling station.
Absolutely. So the new cards are printed with the electoral district. Some folks have the older blue card. Those existed before we had the 19 single member electoral district. So example, some of the older cards would refer to Bodden Town as the electoral district, whereas traditional Bodden Town is now 4 separate electoral districts, and the new cards would either specify Savannah, Newlands, Bodden Town East, or Bodden Town West.
Okay, wonderful. Now on election day, I know you guys are going to be very, very busy, but for the benefit of voters, can you tell us what times the polls open, what time they close, and what is the protocol for them actually going to a polling station in order to vote?
Yeah, so polls open sharp promptly at 7. They close at 6. Anybody within the confines of the polling station at 6 p.m. will be allowed to cast their vote if they're there before 6 p.m. Protocols are, there's no advertising, no campaigning on election day, so please don't wear your candidate or party t-shirts to the polls, whether or not you're an agent candidate or a voter. And because we have such large number of persons expected to come out, we're advising folks to wear a mask, and we'll have masks available if they would like to wear one. But a mask is definitely not required to vote. So if you choose not to wear a mask, you will still be able to cast your vote. Again, bring your ID, and we can then advise you which polling station you go to vote in and allow you to cast your vote in secret and very efficiently.
There are some concerns regarding the fact that this particular year, maybe for the first time in a while, there will not be any international observers on the island, but I know the governor's office has put together a group of local observers who will be monitoring the process.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there's any need for people to be concerned at all because that's happening in any way?
Not at all. So each candidate is allowed to appoint 2 agents per polling station. We have 64 polling stations.
Wow.
So that's a whole lot of agents. And trust me, the agents are probably going to be more interested in what goes on in the polling station than the observers will, particularly because they're everywhere. And we really, as part of our process, is very transparent. So from the time we open and show the ballot box open and empty on the morning before we seal it at 7 a.m., the candidates, if they've appointed their agents as it's allowed under the Elections Act, will have somebody with that box from the time it's sealed up through to the time it's counted. And the agent can then see every folded ballot, so they can't see what's on the ballot, but every folded ballot that's dropped in that box. So a very transparent process. Nothing is done sort of behind that ballot box. Is always in full view of the agents. So that's a very transparent process. It doesn't exist in all other countries. So from that, I think the voting public can take great comfort that between the 9 domestic observers that were appointed as compared to the 7 international that were appointed back in 2017, and the fact that candidates can appoint numerous agents. So if you look at an electoral district like Newlands, there's 5 polling stations, so that's 10 agents per candidate. So I mean, their numbers are quite significant and provide an important check and balance in our process.
Right. So when the polls close and all the ballot boxes are ready to go, do they go to a central location for the count, or how does the actual count happen?
The count happens at the same location that the ballots are being cast. It might be in a separate room, a different room. But again, the agents can actually accompany the ballot boxes until they're secured by the returning officer, who then gets ready for the count. The only difference there is in Cayman Brack East and West, they will be transported to the Ashton Ready Center for Cayman Brack West and the multipurpose hall at the sports complex for Cayman Brack East.
Okay, and finally,
and again, the agents can accompany those boxes with the police
routes.
officers on the bus from the polling station to the counting station. Again, always in clear view of them.
Okay, wonderful. And one final question, in terms of the, oh gosh, just slipped me what I was going to ask you, but oh yes, the list of polling locations. Where can people find that? I understand that's easily available on your website.
Yeah, so the list of polling locations available on our website. We've added some graphics to that, and we're actively working on a media campaign now that will push those locations out. The locations are the same as 2017, with the exception of West Bay Central, which was at the Ed Bush field last time. That was not totally adequate size-wise for that location, so we've actually switched that to the church on Captain Reginald Parsons Drive. So that's the only change of location other than where we were in 2017. But for new voters, that'll be online. We're publishing telephone numbers for folks to call us if they're confused, and the list is available to search by name and electoral district, so folks will know exactly where they are.
Okay, folks, thank you so much, Mr. Wesley. We really appreciate all the hard work that you and your office are undertaking going into the election. Any idea what time you think the final count, given the numbers, can you estimate of when we might have like some final decisions roughly?
We're hoping for around midnight to be complete with everything.
Awesome.
We have added almost 2,400 voters since 2017, so there are more ballots to count. But in some cases, some of the races are just head-to-head with just two candidates.
Right.
So those actually can be counted a bit
makes it
faster. So I'm still hoping to be home in the wee hours of the morning this time around. And we should be getting the small electoral districts, Kimmerbach, East, West, East and North Side in around about the 10 o'clock period. So.
Okay, wonderful. So again, folks, this is the Superintendent of the Elections, Mr. Wesley Howell. Thanks again to you and your team. And tune in, folks, on Wednesday. We'll have tons of coverage and keep you guys abreast of what's going on in all of the different polling stations.
Thanks.
The Cayman Islands for decades have been dependent upon tourism and financial services. I believe an important way forward for this country is to find ways to diversify the economy. Not to leave those industries behind, but to find new industries. That's one of the reasons I worked on things like the Dr. Shetty Hospital between 2009 and 2013. And with this, I was working on medical research. Medical research is over a $36 billion market within the United States. And if we can capture just a mere 1% of that market, we're talking potentially putting $360 million in the government coffers, not to mention the jobs for Caymanians, as well as additional monies being put into the Cayman Islands economy. The opportunities are great. Typically, companies are given 20-year patents. They spend 8 years doing the research and only 12 years to recoup their money. I believe that in the Cayman Islands, we can check all the regulatory boxes, but reduce that 8 years and reduce the spend. Medical research, that's the way forward.
Good morning, folks. How is everyone? Hope you guys are well. It's Tuesday, April the 13th. So you know what that means. I better move my water out of the way so it doesn't get knocked over again. It's going to be party time come tomorrow. It is election day. How are my beautiful people doing? Good morning, Evelyn. Good morning, Miss Morna. Good morning, Miss Barbara. Good morning, Miss Keisha. Mr. Marshall is here for it. Ricky got it locked and loaded. Hello, Cara. How you doing? Larry's here. 48 degrees in New York. Brr. Felicia is here. Barbara says, I don't know why you get top fan before me. Who is she referring to? I don't know who she's referring to, but child, that top fan situation has nothing to do with us. That's all on Facebook. They decide who to give the top fan accolades to. Elizabeth, good morning. How are you? Louis is here for it. Good morning, Catherine. This time tomorrow, I'm done. Me too, girl. I am getting out there so early. I mean, listen to me. I'm coordinating myself tomorrow. I got a lot to do. Miss Beulah. Miss Miriam is here. Miss Charlene is here. David is here. Oh, Lord, David, that's a loaded question. I don't know what they're doing. Don't look like they've been doing anything. Good morning to Mark. Good morning, Cameron. Good morning again, Charlene. She says, I'm done and faithfully awaiting the results. Ooh, she must have voted by postal ballot. Or mobile ballot. Sorry. I should have done mobile ballot. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm going to be so busy that day, I should have done mobile. But anyway, I'm going to get out there first thing in the morning tomorrow. Sonia, good morning. Good morning, Olivia. Samya's here. Yes, child, we are ready for it. PPM tried to trick us and they pushed it forward, but all's well that ends well. And we're hoping that it's going to be ending very well come tomorrow. I am so excited. I'm going to be operating off of adrenaline all day tomorrow because trust me when I tell you, I'm tired. I need sleep. I don't drink coffee or anything. So I feel like I don't want to do one of those cappuccino drinks because then when you have one of those, you crash like shortly after. So they're probably not a good idea. Hello, Leroy, Leanne. Good morning, Romelia. Says all the best to Alec, Dr. Frank, and all the candidates. Good morning, Richard. How are you, my darling? Evelyn says those polls are kicking me life. Kenneth and Chris kicking some arse. Bonnie, good morning. Good morning, Laura. How are you? The beautiful Laura, where you going with this glamour shot for your profile photo? Mess with you. She says it is 96 degrees and came out election time. Hot, hot, hot. Well, folks, Jasara, we have some exclusive news for you guys this morning. So wait for it. Wait for it. Hold on now. Let me just check one little thing. Need to just check one little thing first. Give me a few minutes, Sean. I gotta give y'all some tea. We have some special guests that will be joining us this morning. This is the last day for candidates to come on the program. And of course, peppermint tea, really? Okay. All right. And I need to talk to Krista about although tomorrow the grocery stores are open. So I feel like I can arrange some fruits in the morning and a decent lunch. Maybe I have fish and veggies for lunch. Like I got to keep my energy just right. So today we have Mr. Dr. Frank McField, who's going to be joining us first. And then after that, we've got the trio, Ossie, Ween, and Heather, who will also be joining us. Now, listen, let me tell y'all something. Who be messaging me at 4:45 in the morning? Are you people for real? So we're getting all of these videos. You guys know how this works, right? Candidates pay for videos. And, you take everything during election season with a grain of salt. So they've been taking a little jab at Vincent Frederick. when he's talking about, hold on, I'm going to download some of these so I can share with you guys. When he's responding to some of the chamber questions. Now, listen, if you respond to a question in a particular way, then, you know, it is what it is. And if they make fun of you because of that and they make a meme video out of it, then, you know, it is what it is. I think where it becomes a little tricky is if the person didn't actually say that, or if they have somehow twisted it and cut and sliced to change up what they've said, then that's a whole different situation, right? But you guys know our BFF MP from Bodden Town, Mr. Dwayne Seymour, and his donkey and moon man thing has gone viral after he said all of those things. Like, I can't make that stuff up. It's not like anybody's lying on the man. He did tell his donkey parable, and now all of us are still scratching your heads. And he did also, I'm going to show you guys this one because it's kind of funny. He did also talk about the moon and sexual prowess or whatever that story was supposed to be. So check out this video that has been done because it's kind of cute.
Is that I have a very special connection with the moon. Have more energy and have more interest in sex due to our gravitational pull of the moon and earth and the consequent energy released during this time. And also Jesus chose to ride a donkey, a jackass, ride a donkey, ride a donkey.
Don't square root dad, a fuff to the row, a you that I non-sassy.
Ride a donkey. Ride a donkey. A full moon increases women's sexual desire. The lunar cycle seems to affect women of all shapes and sizes. So I'm just saying.
But I say non-cut, you will use a CA for fear row, e-row sus. Wawi, a square pop, rowie, kakai, a tati, you will you.
And the urgency of the matter today being the 10th of April. I hope that answers it.
No, not really.
Well, first of all, you would have to be brave enough to ask that kind of question. I don't know who would be that stupid.
Lord have mercy. Yes, Jasara. Every time I hear him, my eyes be rolling. So listen, tomorrow is election day and we are lit and we are ready for it. However, we got rules that we got to play by. So tomorrow we cannot share any memes with you guys. We can't make fun of our candidates. We can't do any of that. And so this is the last hooray to be able to do that. And I must tell you, laughter is good for the soul. I mean, honestly, some of the stuff that has been produced really has me cracking up. So that one, listen, everything that was in that video, the good minister of health did actually say. It's not like people making up his own story. Now, did you guys see this one? Thank you so much, Michelle. Michelle says, good morning, Sandra. Thank you for keeping us informed throughout the season. You've been phenomenal. I appreciate that. So this one now, they've, I guess, taken like a little magazine page and they've done this. It says they've broken their promises to the people while they're asleep on the job. Do you want 4 more years of this? And it says young Caymanians' ability to start and operate business is badly affected by red tape imposed by laws passed by the PPM. More people are struggling to survive than ever before. Businesses are struggling or on the verge of failure. People are losing their homes. And this is all pre-COVID, I should say. This has nothing to do with COVID, folks. Unemployment and crime on the rise. And our young people continue in the spiral of hopelessness. Tomorrow we got to keep it professional. So today we'll take our last little laughs at the situation. So the online polls are hot. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So check this one out. PPM, sorry, Cayman. Oh, Lord. I hope that ain't that Panamanian ship sinking out in the high seas. I'm sure they were so glad to get out of here. They will never look back at Cayman again. They're not going to be returning. They're like, oh, those people in the Cayman Islands, forget about it. So speaking of the Cubans, that story, up to this weekend, I still had people calling and messaging, and I was like, Lord Jehovah. But anyway, I wanted to clarify something because last week we'd gotten a little tidbit that said that the Cuban nationals had received or had applied for asylum and that it was denied. Well, the authorities confirmed that that was not the case. They had not yet applied. Well, I'm praying to the good Lord that when they do apply, because they can have the audacity to apply, right? After all of that, they can still apply. When they do apply, we need to have that denied stamp ready and extra large and extra bold, and make sure we stamp denied on each of those applications. So the press release said, recent events may or may not impact their application. Well, I certainly hope that's a may impact their application. I understand that the mother is incarcerated, and I think Javier might be in jail as well, like in the Fairbanks area, not in the regular jail necessarily. Everybody else is in quarantine, but my sources said that they were actually going to be moving them from the Holiday Inn to a possible facility in East End. You see, my sources be on top of things, folks. They know what's going on. Sometimes they don't always get it right, but 97%, you can count on them. So let's do one more video. Morning full of laughs today.
The next question addresses the cost of health insurance. Staying with you, Mr. Frederick. Health insurance premiums continue to increase annually for many businesses, and especially for persons who reach retirement age. What improvements, if any, would you propose to make health insurance more affordable for businesses and for retirees?
Well, I think first of all, health insurance in this country is too expensive. The premiums that we pay for health insurance, I was reading that today. The premiums that we pay for health insurance should something that people living in Saudi Arabia should be paying. Something that people living in Saudi Arabia should be paying. People living in Saudi Arabia should be paying.
Enter seal full sana. So anta ams mapi diblet sibaka. Anta seal plus. Kam seal real.
Jibohet khallat
I want not tajib bawa.
Oh head masoro, oh head santis.
Ana kamala, kampi ada.
Ana kalaminte.
Kamala pi.
We cannot afford it. Either we scrap the mandatory insurance law and or introduce competition from the outside.
Thanks very much.
You know that there are times when those when the moderators must be thinking, sometimes you can't hide what's on your face. Did you guys see the ones with Dr. Frank? They were like really funny because Dr. Frank's face, he's coming up next actually. He cannot hide when he is thinking a certain something. Like the expression on his face is like, he's looking sideways like, what did you just say? Are you kidding me? So I must have thought during those forums that those guys really did a great job staying focused and trying to maintain their professionalism and didn't laugh at some of the responses because what do people in Saudi Arabia have to do with anything? I mean, I don't know, folks. I honestly do not know where they get their responses from. It's just so bizarre. Anyway, whew, what a hot mess. And then people say to me that this is where I have to scratch my own head. I read some of the online comments. Sometimes we don't always, we being the administrators on the CMR page, we have more than one page administrator, by the way, but none of the other administrators, they will only engage if there's something that needs to be, like, for legal reasons removed or whatever. They will alert me to say, hey, have a look at this. This could be a problem. But a lot of times I don't always respond. And a lot of times I don't always, I don't always even read what is being, what on earth is this? What is being said, but there are times when I can't help myself. Does that make any sense? And I read some of the things and I go, what did this person say? So someone said about Vincent Frederick that he's actually a really intelligent man. Now, to be fair to Mr. Frederick, I don't really know him that well. So there might be something that I'm missing. And so I don't like to judge people that I don't know, but you know what they say about first impressions being lasting impressions? Well, my first impression of Mr. Frederick is I don't necessarily see the intelligence, only because I don't see intelligent responses. So I think this was the story that we had done on his inability to say certain things like constituencies and stuff like that. And people are like, well, he just has a Caymanian dialect, and that has nothing to do with a Caymanian dialect. But at the same time, I'm thinking more of the responses that I've seen from him are less than impressionable. Impressive is the correct word I'm looking for. So I don't know, nervousness. I don't know what you want to call it. So folks, we did the interview yesterday with the elections office. Good morning, Miss Sue. Good morning, Miss Bonnie. Let us make sure that you are fully aware of all the do's and don'ts. We're going to be putting it up on the website here in a second. But my good people, you want to make sure now that you show up with your ID. Don't go without an ID. You don't necessarily have to go with your voter's ID, but you need to take a government issued photo ID. So passport, driver's license, those are your safest bets. We don't have a national ID system yet. If for some reason you don't have your voter's ID. So there's a whole slew of things for candidates and agents. There's also things that relate to election advertising. Good morning, Alice. That's why we need to be very careful come tomorrow what we say and do on the program. So initially, we were going to have an all-day program with, as you guys will recall, all sorts of election day coverage, including throughout the day, we were going to do analysis, like candidate analysis and that sort of thing, candidate commentary, if you will. However, after speaking to the elections office last week, we have decided that not until the polls close can we then do candidate commentary. And so all of my guests that are coming on the program, and let me just remind you guys of what we've got lined up in terms of guests, so you do not want to miss tomorrow's show.
And now, get ready for a full day of election coverage, including historical analysis, candidate bios, polling station coverage, and much more. 8 commentators covering over 50 years. Audience participation makes it your most interactive resource on Election Day. Don't miss it.
Yes, folks, don't miss it, but we're going to have to adjust it slightly so that we don't run afoul of the elections law. So, on Elections Day, the candidates themselves can't do any advertising. So that's why Mr. Wesley said, don't come in any of your gear, t-shirts, caps, whatever, pins, nothing to the polling station that indicates who you support. These are the rules of Election Day and how it works. So at the end of the day, a political broadcast or political announcement should not include, and they have a whole list of things here. So none of that is permitted while the polls are open. Some of it is quite unusual. Like it has A through G. So it says any matter in contravention of the laws of the Cayman Islands, any abusive comment upon race or religion, that's fine. Anything that's blasphemous, obscene, indecent, or profane, okay. Any scandalous or defamatory matter, any scenes of nudity, eroticism, crime, or violence. Okay, what does that have to do with political announcement though? But whatever. Any scenes of sound of private grief or human suffering, or any harrowing sights or sounds. No clue what those last few there have to do with an election, but anyway. So political advertisements, broadcasts, or announcements must include the name of the political party or candidate, as the case may be, responsible for the broadcast or announcement, and the fact that the broadcast or announcement has been paid for. A political party or candidate may advertise the broadcasting of a program under this part within the period commencing at the pre-recording of the program and ending at the broadcast of such program. And then contravention of this advertising and broadcasting provision is illegal. Please refer to Part 4 of the Elections Law for the full provision. So basically, the sound advice is that anything as it relates to political advertising has to come down by tomorrow. So you guys know that the candidates are aware that they need to go pull down their signage and take down all their signs and so forth, right? So likewise, I think that this law probably hasn't taken into consideration, although it is the 2017 revision of the law, it still hasn't taken a lot of things into consideration, such as electronic ads and advertising and that sort of thing. So quite interestingly enough, that will take some time to, I think, for the law to catch up, which it really shouldn't. They should try to get that done. All right, so what Mr. Wesley advised us is because the candidates themselves, so the candidates are under very, very strict, they can't be hanging out at the polling station sort of thing, because they themselves are under some strict rules per the election law. They also can't respond to certain things, that we should be careful what we say on the program, because what might end up happening is, say we do candidate analysis during the time that the polls are open, and we say something that is inaccurate or a matter of opinion or whatever, the candidate does not then have the opportunity to respond to any of those things. And of course, they then may complain that, oh, this was said about me on Cayman Mall Road, and this might have swayed someone to vote for or against me or whatever the case may be. So what we have done, because we definitely do not, under any circumstances, want to have any questions at all about this, we will ensure that polls are open from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m., that we do not want to run afoul of anything, because child, they will blame us in a heartbeat for anything that goes wrong tomorrow. When the PPM loses, they're going to be blaming us. You guys know it already. So we will be on our best behavior tomorrow. We are bringing you a professional production. And so what is going to happen during the day, it's going to be scaled down a little bit compared to what we had in mind. We will be having people visiting the polling stations. I will actually go out there and probably visit some myself. We'll be checking in with some of the polling agents to see how things are going at the polling station. Obviously, there are restrictions about cell phone usage and how close they can get to the official polling station and so on. I think there's like a 300 feet limit or whatever. So the agents are aware of all of their limitations, but we will be checking in with them throughout the day. The second the polls close at 6 p.m., boom, we're on top of it. So that is then where we're going to be analyzing the individual candidates. We're going to be giving you real-time voter count as it comes in. We will be updating the map on Cayman Decides. So that's a sister company. That's just factual information. You guys can go check it out, which, by the way, the polls are up on that website as well. I'm going to talk about polls here in a second. I'm just waiting on one little thing to be done before I get to that. And so then we put it in high gear from the closing of the polls. So folks, we are ready to go. I saw someone contacting the elections office inquiring about you know, they are not going to be available tomorrow to vote. Can they still vote today through mobile voting? That is gone. You have to pre-register basically to be able to vote by mobile voting, and that has now been completed. There were people who were accommodated, as Mr. Wesley said in that interview, with the who were in quarantine, and they have now had the opportunity to vote. They went to the sister islands, and they have everyone sorted out. If you have any doubts about the location of your polling stations, we're going to go through those here in a second. I'm actually trying to find it on the website. I know he said the website had been that the website had been updated with the polling station. So I'm going to just double check where that is. Yes, here it is. So they've done a bit of an interactive map. I think they have a little typo on their website here though. It says if you registered April 20201, I don't know what year that'd be, but none of us will be here. So the polls, there's an April the 1st register a poll, right? But this isn't, these are not the 60 something polling stations. Okay, we're gonna just confirm exactly where that is. Here it is. Okay. They're polling. Where did they get 60 something from? Because I do not see 60 something on this map. Anyway, we will go through this in a bit to make sure that you know exactly where you need to go and vote. And you have no issues with doing that. So they do have a polling location map. And oh yes, 2021 polling locations. Okay. All right. So we'll go through all of that. We do have Dr. Frank who's waiting to come on. So let us speak to Dr. Frank for about 30 minutes or so, and then we'll provide you guys with some more information. So yes, all of this information will be readily available. Larry is responding to Cassandra about the top fan badge. It's something that you get, Cassandra, based on, or Barbara, based on interaction. So I think Larry interacts a lot. He, not just within the show itself, but, you know, sharing posts and commenting and whatever. All right, Dr. Frank, good morning.
Good morning, Sandra.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm beautiful.
I'm
How are
great,
you?
thank you. I'm blessed.
So good to see
my
you.
brother would
Yes.
say.
Absolutely.
My
Wonderful,
brother George,
wonderful.
Pastor George, remember him?
Pastor George, no, I
You
don't.
don't remember? I guess he died.
That might have been before
you.
my time.
Yes, 2007 he died.
Okay. Well, I was.
But he
here
was
in
a great
2007.
inspiration to me, you know, because my brother George, you know, he served in Vietnam during the Tet Offensive, 101st Airborne Division. And he went through a lot of problems, you know, had the struggles with the drugs and all sorts of things like this. Found the Lord, and he studied a lot. He ended up as the pastor at the prison while I was in charge. Had constitutional responsibility for the prison. So he's been a great inspiration for me. And I'm very, very saddened that he's not here, but in spirit, I know he's here. He's here.
Yes.
He's very near. So I start this
Absolutely.
morning out, Sandra, with a kind of faith that I believe that many people don't really sort of understand. When one thinks about what I've gone through in this country since 1977, and I was fired in 1979 for saying that preschool education, early childhood education was key. And Truman Bodden at that time wanted to build a middle school. And I always asked the people, where is the middle school now? And why are so many people now talking about the importance of early childhood education when I was already fighting and being punished for it already in 1979? I also got fired in the 1990s for writing for a Bill of Rights. Actually, I was fired from the dump where I got a job. That's the only job they would give this Negro with a PhD from a German university. Was at the dump. And because I wrote to express my learning and to express my passion and my commitment to humanity and human rights, I was fired by the Cayman Islands government again. Because the government machinery in this country is a very strange thing. What it does is it pays for our youth to go to study, to go to universities. Then they bring them back, put them in the civil service. They create privileges for them, and then they allow them to idealize and worship their principles rather than worshiping service and sacrifice. The most important knowledge base we have in this island, that is Caymanian, is located in the civil service. When we're having politics and we're having discourse that is very important, they cannot participate. So what the colonial system has done from the beginning, because it's the pattern that they use and they have used in every colonial territory, they isolate the knowledge base of a society. It's like cutting off the head of a person. They park it, they use it for their own means, and they do not allow these people to disseminate, as you're doing and others have been doing outside that cave. They do not allow them to disseminate positive values with regards to the accumulation of knowledge and the impartment of that knowledge to the persons that have not been privileged and gifted and blessed like them to have achieved a college education and to have been abroad for a period of time, even if that was in a limited university circle. They gain valuable experiences that should be shared with the society as a whole. So you can imagine how that has kept us back and limited our growth as a social organism, and also as people who also need valued guidance and political guidance in the private sector. The private sector has not that many people competing in it, so other people can come in and dominate it, because we have limited the past participation of our Caymanians in the system through this particular way of giving scholarships and then insisting that they come back and be a part of the government bureaucracy. So I see that kind of reform as necessary, because your shows have proven that Caymanians are really interested in learning about their society. They're interested in leadership. They're interested in people that are ideal leaders like yourself. And I'm not saying, and I'm always saying, we can disagree with regards to who we serve. But I mean, the most important is that we serve the people from whatever direction we choose to, connect our faith. Through my last 6 years of researching and writing, I wrote 2,000 pages that are now in London with an editor, and 2,000 pages. And I have learned a lot about the gospel. I learned a lot about how people misinterpret scripture, not just people that are saying that they're pastors, but also people who put themselves as critics of God and critics of spirituality or religion. And so my particular platform at this time, after all these years of being a lone wolf, I find that a lot of people have come to the positions or the conclusions that I came to 40 years ago. And I'm very grateful for that this also gives an opportunity for me to be able to put myself forward as a leader. But unfortunately, a lot of the young people that are out there that are putting themselves forward for leaders, as leaders, they don't want somebody who has amassed this amazing amount of knowledge and experience and credibility when it comes to holding fast to a particular position, which I've done at my sort of disfavor, in the sense that I've suffered materially, mentally, and socially as a result of the tremendous oppression that I have received in this country, even by defining myself as a Black man and saying that I have an African heritage that is very valued from my understanding of myself. and to be able to transmit that to other persons in the similar circumstances, and also, most importantly, to Joshua, my son. So the mere fact that we're contained in this kind of bubble where we cannot actually advance our perception of ourselves has hindered educational development. And that's one of the areas, of course, that I'm interested in. And I hear people all the time talking about education because they read a theory here and they read a theory there and so forth. Those are just ideas, theories. What I want to know is what comes from your own experiences. I noticed that you always reference your experiences, because to have sense is one thing, but to have a reference is another thing. And you need the reference if your sense is going to make any sense whatsoever. And I noticed that with you. You take on issues that are close and dear to you. And of course, me and you had that conversation at that international, I think, domestic violence seminar that we had here in Cayman, which I thought was a very good start. And you recall that I was in tears when I started to talk about domestic violence, when I talked about the violence it hits me psychologically, socially, and politically in this country, where people don't have much empathy for the fact that I had to suffer in this country because I was enlightened, and I insisted upon sharing that enlightenment with others. I didn't come to condemn them, but I came to elevate them. I didn't come to judge them, but I came to say what I have is more knowledge, and a more pure knowledge, but knowledge should be shared. So we, whether or not it be me, you, Roy Bodden, or whoever it is, our talk, our contemplation, our consideration are locked out. I am very surprised, for instance, that I've tried to get money to run in this campaign and to make an effective campaign against Mr. Roy McTaggart, who I think is an ineffective person, an ineffective leader. He's an accountant, and he's not an economist, and he's not a sociologist, and not an educationalist. He has no real skills that are special in this sense, because we can find the accountants all over the place, but we can't find the sociologists that have the practical experience, that know the problems on a personal level. So when I'm talking about educational challenges, I'm talking about myself and my early childhood education, my secondary education. When I'm talking about people who have to suffer because of discrimination that is denied, it's denied that we do discriminate. We, even of color, discriminate against ourselves according to pigmentation. So I most often call this place a pigmentocracy, a corporate pigmentocracy, because the remnants of slavery, the remnants of colonialism persist. And although we might not want to believe that that's how we make our value judgment, we do most certainly. And I insult people when I say that, and I do apologize, but the truth must prevail, because it's only the truth that can set us free. Now, once we got that out of the way, once we can see the picture, we move on to finding solutions. The finding solution is to build what I said a long time ago, that New Jerusalem, where we're fair to workers, regardless, sanitation workers, hotel workers, or whatever, where we give everybody a helping hand and we pull everybody up. And that means that we'll have a much more balanced and stable society. And this is, again, where the gospel becomes important, especially the new covenant. And so I integrate these things because I will not reject my Christian heritage. I can't do it. I can't do it psychologically. I can't emotionally. So people have to be aware of where I stand at my age in terms of defending my faith and defending the faith of other persons as well. I am solely responsible for that, and I will continue to do that. And what I'm saying about Roy McTaggart, he's a sleepy man. Alden put him in place because he wants to continue to be premier, and constitutionally, Alden could not continue to be premier. We don't have Joey Hugh that was chosen for premier. We don't have Mose Kokano that's chosen for premier. Maybe they didn't want the job, but I don't see Juliana that was put in place. So at the end of the day, why Roy? Why Roy? Roy cannot take any credit for the financial surpluses, for understanding, and just what Ian Paget Brown was talking about in terms of the sloppiness of the government and reacting to the demands from the regulatory organizations abroad that regulates our financial service industries. I would say that they get a fail. Roy, as financial minister, gets a failure grade, just like Ian Paget Brown say, who I've known since 1977. He said, if you turn in your homework late, your assignment late, you're going to be graded downwards, or you're going to get a fail. Roy gets a fail. Roy gets a fail because of that horse farm that is there that prevented us from straightening that road out, and people died on that corner because that was done. Roy was on the injunction when he was married to the lady that owns the place. The fact that he's no longer married to her, and so his name is off, does not necessarily free him from being blamed for the fact that it is there because he put it there and it continues to be there. So he gets the blame at this particular time for the congestion that we have at that particular point, the bottleneck that we have at that particular point, and then his audacity to say they're going to buy the piece of land next door to put road through there rather than put some place for kids to go and play basketball, and for families to meet, ideal families to meet, for people to meet each other in the communities, because what we are suffering from is alienation, separation. We're not ticking with each other. We're not binding with each other. We're not feeling each other's spark and energy and enthusiasm for life and for community. Because we have the opportunity at this particular time to either choose community or chaos, as Martin Luther King says. So, Sandy, at the end of the day, Roy he's bailing the water from Randite. We are going to offer the people of Randite, because Biggie was my family, just like he was your family. And Biggie went there and he built those homes knowing that that was so. And I prayed for him before he died. I went to his house and I prayed for him. I was there with other persons, and Graham Rankin being one of them. I prayed for Biggie, because at the end of the day, when we come to the end of our lives and all these things we have accumulated, and who have we saved? We've saved money for our children, but they're more than our children. There's more than Joshua in this world. I have not just fought for Joshua. I am not now fighting for Joshua. I am fighting for all the kids in the Cayman Islands, all the people in the Cayman Islands. That is what we want to see from a leader. So the government and Chris Sandos, who I hope and pray will be financial minister of this country, because Chris is a brilliant man. And I have had issues with Chris, like I have issues with a lot of people when I think that they're not paying attention to be respectfully as they should pay at certain times. But he's the one of the young group that has shown me consistently a respect, telling me, Doc, I remember what you did. I remember how my father introduced me to you by the library and said, Chris, respect this man. He's a brilliant man, but he will not give him a chance in this country because he's black. And I am not going to not say that it's because I'm black. Now, when I come to this country and I say I will not give up, I've come to my point now where I will try in this election. I will hope to get elected. I will hope to be there among those young kids to help them, to make sure that they are going to keep their promises. Because I know promises is a comfort to a fool. And I know many Caymanian voters realize that this cycle of promises and failures have not come through. So when Chris promises and say, Doc, if we get in, we will rebuild Randite. We will rebuild it one stage at a time. We will elevate the homes, because we cannot solve the flooding problem. And we are going to have worse flooding. And Roy McTaggart is going around with a bucket, as he was portrayed in that comedy after the Chamber of Commerce forum. He's taking a little thing and bailing it out and throwing it back in the water that's coming back anyway. So, I mean, that's what I think. 2 steps forward and 4 steps backward is what we've had from this PPM administration, because Alvin is a Machiavellian politician. He does everything for gain. He does not think about the impact which his accumulating power has had on the people of the Cayman Islands, and most certainly in education, where he has built buildings, spent hundreds of millions of dollars, but nothing on training teachers. Sandy, we can take people out of the private sector, women in particular out of the private sector, give them, promise them good paying jobs, improve the pay, give them incentives to come out of the private sector and come to work, and then they'll have more time for their children. And so that will have a ripple effect on other people in the community, the other children in the community. We have so many creative young people, and I started the Arthur Martin Creative Empowerment Center down in Scranton. Now, that when the hurricane came, it had a damage. I had Chuck Taylor, who ordered the stuff. We had a recording studio there. I heard that Joe Hewitt promised when he was running that he was going to build one too. They ain't going to do those things because they're not interested in poor people. And I'm saying to you, I will create an creative empowerment center. I will use Hopscotch Studio to record, because there's no point in we going to try to get equipment to equal that. So what we would do is that we would create an institute where they could come, they could use their lyrics, we could talk about it, it would be creative development, and we would be able to market the results of their products on the international markets with their video productions and sort of things like that. All of those things I had. I called Anthony Eden and offered to give him that idea for his son. I ain't got no call from his son yet, so I'm a little concerned about the son. And I prefer Heather Bodden, because I worked with her before. Lovely person, and she loves people. And I think love is what it's all about. I don't care what they tell me they offer. If they ain't offering me love, they're not offering me nothing. And that's why I hold to the book that said the greatest thing in the world is love. And I'm glad that a lot of the Christians in the community are seeing that Christianity is more than about holding up the pillars of a church. Christianity is about community. It's about building community, supporting community, raising up the spirits of the people who are in these particular times in the situation that they're in. So I just want people to understand that I am running because I have been running. I've been running for over 40 years. And I am so happy, feel so blessed that there are people like you, there are people like Kenneth Bryan, there are people like Chris, and people like that are willing to listen to me. And I have one sad thing to say. I've tried to get in touch with Mark Panton, for Wayne Panton, for over 8 months, and he refused even to offer me a telephone call. Now I wonder what happens when he's in the Legislative Assembly again, if he gets there, how he would treat his constituency if this is the way that he treats me. He could have written me back and said, Dr. Frank, I don't like you. I don't like what I hear about you. I don't like you're talking about this or that. He could have done that. But I'm Dr. Frank McField. I've written plays. I've done this, and I've done this for this country. A man who wants to represent this country should have had at least returned a telephone call to me. But don't say like we used to say on my ground. Used to say, I mean, he didn't even say, "Oh, dog, I know you're there." You see, so I don't like that kind of attitude. And I wanted to say that today about him. It is not right. Raul Gonzalez and Newlands. And Newlands has a heart, and I want to see people with heart. I just don't want people to say they got knowledge, but they don't have heart. Knowledge without a heart, a head without a heart is not completed. We know that the body has different functions, but the ugliest one may be the eyes, or the ugliest one might be the lips, or the ugliest one might be something else, but they all make up one body, and without them all, it would not function. So Frank McField might not look like certain other people look, but he's a part of the body. Politics in the Cayman Islands, and we have to understand that the body, even missing one part, one aspect, is not as well functionally. It does not perform as well as when it has all parts. My experiences are necessary to collate into the experiences of people in the financial service industries, in other parts of the society, the different environments. I have talked about the ecology, and there are many people talking about the preservation of the mangroves and sustainable development. And I've been talking about sustainable development for the last 40 years. We want to sustain our Caymanian culture, our Caymanian people, our Caymanian identity, our Caymanian relationship with the gospel. We want that to be sustainable and not just mangrove. And I am for the animal rights, for the rights of these people here and these people there, but I'm not for the rights of people who are going to try to destroy me, who are going to try to degrade me, who are going to try to bury me. If you diss me, I diss you too. And I do not disrespect you, I dismiss you, because I think that then you become irrelevant to what it is that I would like to achieve. We need to achieve that New Jerusalem. We need to preserve our values of caring and sharing. And we can do this with what Chris Sanders is talking about in terms of the revitalization of Randike, after the government spending up to $10 million over a period of 4 years. Why didn't the financial minister, Mr. McTaggart, come with a promise like that? Why didn't he think of it? Why would it take persons like myself and Chris Sanders to come up with it? I would have loved to have said to the people before, this is what we could do. But I didn't have that kind of power. I am not the man with the figures. I am not the man who knows what government can do financially. I know what government can do educationally and culturally and in other particular areas. But Chris Sanders, if he says that to me, that's possible, and Doc, he said, I promise you can tell him that, then I believe that's good news today. The good news for Randike, the good news for that area is if they wanted to revitalize Central Georgetown, we are going to see this as part of Central Georgetown and also revitalize Randike and those areas. We're going to not gentrify it, because I was in London, Notting Hill Gate in London, during the early 70s, and I saw what landlords did. They moved the poor people out, put the rich people out in, like they're doing it here, gentrification, we call it. They move you out of the pristine areas, but because they let run down, they put parking lot there, and then they come in and reclaim the centers of cities. Look in America, it is all that's being done. So the whole land politics and real estate politics in this island is all about segregation and division. If you notice what's happening, notice what Darts has done in building a new town, tearing this old one down, as memory of Justice Lamy and them sung, and Greg and them sung, and Tarabi and them sung off so well. Memory of Justice said, me and my crew, we're here to break this building down. We're building a new town and tearing the old one down. So they take that wrecking ball and break the buildings down. This is exactly what happened. They were telling us what's going to happen. So it was not only Frank McField, it was not only the Bam Bam in Time Long on the Rope, but the Bam Bam, I think, son as well, who knew the prophecy that we would be in this situation like Indians and on a reservation with drunks and breaking up families and the whole prophecy that is in there. But prophecy is just the use of knowledge and reference. So you cannot expect a good result from bad intentions, from bad motivations, from bad actions. We know what it will cause. So it was not difficult for me to say to you in 1979, this is what's happening. We see it today. Heed my word, worse is to come if we do not put new kinds of people in politics in this country. We have to get away from those persons that are looking after self-interest and put in those people who are looking after the interests of the people. And if I had not accomplished anything in this country, I have proven that my looking after the interests of the people is much higher to me than my looking after my own interests and my family interests. And I believe that you are a godsend because you know the experiences of our people, that you have given us the fair chance to be able to expose and talk about things that we never would have exposed and talked about before. So in that sense, I feel very good about what my feelings about being elected. I think there is a rallying late, of course, but never behind me. I've done it without the money, and I thank you very much for your shows to have allowed me to get my point of view out there, because there are people on your show that takes my point even further, and so that is good. If we're not past my time, maybe you might want to give me a question. Sorry about that, monologue.
That's okay. That's okay, Dr. Frank. So, obviously tomorrow is it. I mean, we're at the 11th hour now. Is there anything that people can expect going into the election that they might see you doing? Time is obviously very, very short at this point, but just the last rallying cry for the people.
Yeah, well, what we're going to do is we're going to be, if Kenneth can get his car fixed, his transmission on it, maybe Kenneth Christian, we're trying to get for a little while, because QQ had made a video song for me, and a song for me in 2009, when I was still had a little money that could do certain things, and it's talking about these are serious times, and Dr. Frank and blah 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 blah, so forth and so on. But it's a nice little video. I think we played some of that on the thing. So we want to play that around the area. We're going to go out if Kenneth has that. Kenneth Christian has that. We play that. Also tonight, I'm going to have a impromptu meeting at Randike. We're going to try to disseminate some flyers. I haven't done a manifesto. I did a manifesto because we publish it on Facebook, a lot of it through Messenger and so forth and so on. But what has happened is that the restraint on the money, because I said nobody wants to compete with me. I guess they feel like if I come there and I had stereo experiences before, and I got my PhD and I got my field work and I got my this and I got my that I might want to be a minister, and that means that somebody else might not be able to be a minister. So you got the ego, and I watch it and I analyze it. Nobody needs to try to fool me about it. I understand what they're doing, and I spend time analyzing the characters, analyzing their decisions or their actions and so forth. But I would pray and I would ask people to understand that these are serious times and we need solidarity. The whole idea of independent candidates is being taken a little far. That's why I'm under the Vision movement. It was the New Vision movement that brought them public eye for 10 years. 10 years, and that was not, that was my production. That was paid for by me. And I would say to them that I have invested a lot in trying to get this day to happen. And I've had, as you know, lots of influence on people, because when they reflect back, oh, say, well, that's what Dr. Frank was saying. So they have a reference. The reference is Dr. Frank McField. It is not Steve McField. There's nobody else there. It's Dr. Frank. I'm the one who has been the carrier of this thing. So I tell the young boys, I say, look, I know when they love me. I know when they're saying a lot of things I've said, and when it's telling me to sit by Dr. Frank, we're going to take care of you. I say, no, governments have said that to me over the last 40 years, and nobody ever do anything, because I know when people get in there, they're not accountable anymore, because we don't have an organized system to make them accountable. Now you're there to make people accountable, or try to make people accountable, but you can't do that all yourself, Sandy. And your views might just not reflect all the perspectives anyway. So we need organized behavior that includes this multifaceted type of approach to problem solving in society and in politics. And so we need more aspects. We need more media outlook that has the kind of educational framework in which yours have. And I mean, you attract people, and once you attract people, you can teach them, you can lead them. But if you don't attract them, so sometimes we have to attract people, and we know what Mile Road means. I mean, you come from a Mile Road family.
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, we always enjoy
Well,
talk,
I tell you,
you know?
I tell you what, Frank. You know, the irony of it is, a few weeks back, I ran into someone who said, when you first started Mall Road, I thought it was over the top and I didn't really get it. But now I tune in every single morning and I love what you're doing. And I think a lot of people have come around. It took, we're going into our 4th year already, believe it or not. But yeah, it took a minute for people to see that there's different aspects of Mall Road. Sometimes we are doing things in jest, and sometimes we enjoy a good laugh, and sometimes we dabble in gossip, because that's part of who we are as a community, as a country. And that's the foundation of the name even. And then there are times that we do very hard-hitting investigative pieces and opinion pieces and so on. So it's all about a holistic approach to news. News just doesn't have to fit into a very square box. We like the fluidness of what we do.
Yeah. You have to satisfy a diversity of interests. And when you bring them together is when we get the magic happening, right? And, we do that in theater as well. We have to build a play not based on what a particular class or group orientation wants. And this is sometimes why people have a little bit of a problem with theater, because it just doesn't stick to their narrow perception of what should be explored. And I think that's a similar thing in your show. And I think that is healthy rather than a hindrance. And you're proving that you've taken what I would say this media, and I'm not talking about it because it's on Facebook like this. I mean, it could have been on a TV station or what. You could have done it as well on TV. You've taken it to the highest level that it had ever been in this country, and you're broken the barriers about what you could talk about and how you could talk about it. When you talk about domestic violence and everything, you got to remember, I choose to name the domestic, the home for battered women, this Long Celia home. And they won't use that word. They won't use that title. That goes to show how these people are. She was given 50 lashes in a public place during the period of slavery, just before emancipation. And Natisha Suku, the poet, and she writes about this situation. She's passionate about it, and they won't call that place that name. And the reason why I said, look, we can't do what Miss Edna Moyle wanted. Miss Edna Moyle had a plan with swimming pool and this and that and the other thing. It's just like how I built the homes. The reason why I could get the homes done is because I built them cheap to get a start. I did the same thing. I was coming out of my house there in Templeton. One morning, I saw a Jamaica woman there. I know her for a long time, and she wanted to retire. She wanted to sell the house. I asked her how much she wanted to sell it for, and she told me. I went to Estella Scott, and I said, Estella, I think I found you some. God bless her. I think I found something for you. Go see it. I'm not going to build that. I say the shit is there for a juvenile center. I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give a pro-social benefit to national football players. And I paid the national football players time. I leave government, and the first thing they do, take it away from them. Because they're not sociologists. They don't come from the poor class like I come from, struggling class. You know what a little stipend does to motivate you to get to practice on time, or to be able to get your mother some money for gas to take you there. No, the fact that we are not considerate of other people because we're not in their situation is exactly what we need to break down. I think that's what you do when you bring up a lot of the issues about groups of people that are suffering because of this prejudice or that prejudice, or because of that law or the other law. I mean, it's going to take a time before we can sort of digest it all, but definitely the movement is there. And I'm happy that I called my movement that brought them public eye the New Vision movement, because the New Vision movement is alive. It's alive in Johan Moxham. It's alive in Kenneth Bryan. It's alive in many of the boys. Isaac Rankin, who worked with us at the theater for all those years and going abroad with his daughter, who's my cousin, because believe it or not, Sandy, I found it to Isaac. I found it to the three candidates there. Captain George Dixon, grandsons, and Captain George Dixon my mama and grandfather was the first qualified black or person of color sea captain license, and that's where I get my name Suarez, which is a Portuguese name, although they spell it in English, because when my granny Lila from East End was on ship with my grandfather, they met a Portuguese captain, Suarez, and that's how I got that as a middle name. And my granny then ended up in Isle of Pine, got off ship there from off the ship with Captain George, and she stayed there and she met my grandfather, my mother's father, was a Jamaican, brown Jamaican, like Charles Barnes, your grandfather was, and you know, because your grandfather also was from Jamaica, which is a very interesting story when you start telling the story of Rennie and you start telling the story of how the bus started and how Rennie started as the first government messenger boy and how Denzel used to toll the bell and all those sort of stuff. So that's what I call reference. A lot of people need to know the reference about what it is to be Caymanian. When we give something 14,000 statuses in grants in the last period of this period of the PPM administration, without telling people, but we got it through FIO. What do you call it again? Freedom of Information requests. When we're not told, and we get all these people coming in on us at one time, but we're not assimilating them into our culture. Yet we give an exam when they're trying to qualify for residency. Now I'm saying to myself, culture is important. If you're going to bring other people in, they're going to come with their culture and they're not going to integrate into yours. All of this a sociologist and anthropologist knows is important. Then eventually they're going to push yours out. So we have to start defending our cultural values and our cultural premises. And this is why the Christian religion is so important to me. I am not going to let them come and kick out everything, because I am a man of culture. I am a man who has worked. Me and Jeff Cresswell, Maureen Cresswell, Ben Hides, Anita Ebine started the Cultural Foundation. What is Cultural Foundation today? And a lot of the support came to me through Jim Bodden. Jim Bodden, my hero. He's a real hero to me, because he had to maybe play two roles at the same time. But it was him who protected me from Truman Bodden, who was after me always to destroy me. And look at Mr. Truman today. He's irrelevant. He's irrelevant. So he got money. He got money not even any good to him. So Dr. Frank got his books, and Dr. Frank got his talk, and Dr. Frank got his faith, and Dr. Frank got what did he say? Again, he got his something back. You know? So I'm really happy this morning that we are now on the 13th of April. It's a very important time for me. The 14th of April is a very important time because Martin Luther King was assassinated on the 4th of April, 1986. And so this was his 53rd anniversary, death anniversary. And Allen went and put the election so close to Martin Luther King's assassination date that I said, you know, here's one of Martin Luther King's disciplines. I started off in New York at Borough Manhattan Community College, and I used to go to the library there in Manhattan. I used to listen to Dr. King. And when I came back, Donovan and McField, teacher McField, oldest boy, he used to say to me, boy, Dr. Frank, you sound like Martin Luther King. And it used to put chills through my body, because I knew what it meant. It meant that I had to sacrifice. I would be a sacrifice. And I might run away for a little while, but I come back here willing to be that sacrifice. And so we are preserving our culture, our community, because we're all interconnected, because at the end of the day, we're family with people from Bodden Town and from East End and from Northside and from West Bay, but I don't really know who they are in West Bay. But I'm just saying to say that we're at a very important point, and people must focus on a change that's going to keep their culture preserved, not on the shelves, but in the lives of our people. And one of the places where our culture is preserved is in the churches. I'm sorry, many of the pastors have to change. They have to get involved in the community. They have to do charity. When I go and I see Pastor Bob Church, where long lines of people are being fed by that church, The more people are talking about it. Who else is feeding the poor right now out there? Beulah, my mother started Meals on Wheels in her kitchen. My mother, Martha McField, she's going to be 92 in a few days from now. 92. And the only thing she asked the people who she fed, who her daughter fed for over 20 years before Beulah resigned. For over 20 years, we built Meals on Wheels. The only thing she said, vote for my son, because I can't tell you that now. Vote for Frank. Frank is mine, and his heart is like mine. His heart is full of gold. His heart is full of soul. He's just like his sister Beulah also. We just want to serve the people. We want to be servants of the people.
Dr. Frank,
I'm
thank
sure
you
I
so
went
much.
over.
Yes, that's okay. Thank you so much. And we're going to wish you all the best tomorrow. Again,
I
folks, tomorrow is the day.
Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you so much. I would love to see the biggest voter turnout ever in the history of the Cayman Islands. Let there be no doubt at the polls where people stand. Go out and vote and show your support for whatever candidate you're supporting. That was Dr. Frank McField joining us this morning. We're a little bit into overtime, but that's all right. So we will continue the program. We do have at some point the trio from the East joining us. That's Bodden Town, which would be Ossie. Savannah is Heather Bodden, and Wayne Panton. Now we do have a few additional meme videos, folks. This is our last day to get it in there. So thank you all so much for your comments, by the way. I think I need to go back and read a few of these. We allowed Dr. Frank to just have his opportunity to speak. Joy Sand, thank you so much. Joy Sand says that Sandra had a vision, and that's what this election is about, those with vision, and will move our islands forward, those who will stand for right and not wrong, and those who want to lift up their people. Well, I just received some information, by the way, folks, and I think perhaps we will examine this information tomorrow, because it doesn't necessarily require us to talk about any particular candidate, but it's about the salaries of the candidates. Apparently, they all got a pay increase, which is ironic when they're telling you, the people, about how well they handled COVID. They were doing a few things behind the scenes, including giving themselves a pay increase. But we have to be very careful how we address these issues. And at the very minimum, we should be able to just put the information out there as long as it's accurate. And we're going to just verify a few things with the Gazette that it refers to. That's why I don't want to talk about it right now, because I need to do some verification. So we come blazing with facts tomorrow, but we can talk about that during the day, since we're not going to be able to do a candidate commentary again until once the polls have closed. So stay tuned for that. You might get an eye opener about what's been happening. Thank you so much, Joyce Ann. Charlene says, Dr. Frank, we have some very good independent candidates. Select only if we all agree. Well, I'm going to drop the story on you guys now. Hi, Anne. How are you? And also my condolences to Anne. She has lost in her family recently. Her significant other has recently passed away. I know it's been a difficult time for her, but she's always here and tuned in when she can make it. So Anne, we've been praying for you, and we have certainly been thinking of you. And I know that it's just been a very, very challenging time for you and your family. Anne has lost Michael Larson. Sunrise was May the 24th, 1954, and passed away on April the 1st of 2020. So we continue to keep you and your family in our prayers and hope that you are doing well. And thank you so much. Anne and her sister in Tampa, my old stomping grounds, my second home, really. And I loved Tampa. Sometimes I think about, oh gosh, I need to have a second home in Tampa so I can go back and just stay for a few weeks at a time, because I absolutely have so many fond memories of growing up in Tampa. Anytime I'm there, it brings back a lot of emotions for me, I think, because those were such formative years. But Anne, thank you so much for always tuning in to the program. We really do appreciate your support. And Anne's mom, as you guys know, is Mary Lawrence. and her sister is Janet Lawrence, and they're very, very involved. Miss Janet lives in Tampa as well. Actually, Anne, are you in St. Pete, and then Anna's in Tampa? For some reason, I'm thinking there's a little bit of a drive between the two of you. But Miss Mary is here on the ground, folks. She has actually been out and about. You guys would be interested to know she's been stomping for Ossie, out there getting Ossie his votes, talking to people about why they should support Osborne Bodden in the coming election. Now, remember, he was one of those people who had his phone hacked, unfortunately. So if you've been trying to reach Ossie via WhatsApp and you've been unable to do so, that could explain exactly what has been going on. So Ms. Perla says, good morning, my beloved Cayman. I hope and pray that tomorrow is a change for the people. Vote wise and with confidence, and because they are family or your friend, and not because they're family or your friend, vote for change. Thank you so much. Joy Sand says that I remind her of Mr. Jim Bodden. Wow, he stood regardless of who liked it. Well, you've got to, at some point, you've got to take a stand. You know, when I was at Sammy's meeting on Saturday, I heard Teresa Lewis talking about people up and coming, younger folks who have that fire and have that drive. And there was a young lady on the platform. I can't recall her name right now, to be honest, but man, she was full of fire. She came all the way from West Bay to get on the platform and lend her support to Sammy. And I loved her spirit and I loved her fire. But the one thing that I was a little bit saddened by was when Teresa mentioned that she had lost the fire. And I don't think that the fire is ever lost. I think it can be dimmed, but I don't think you ever lose it. Once you have it, that's part of your gut, your belly, you know what I mean? And it's always there, but they can, like Dr. Frank, I think it's unfortunate that Dr. Frank has been downtrodden. And I think Teresa, to a large extent, has been placed in that same category as well. And I understand the issues that Dr. Frank speaks about. And I certainly sympathize with, what he is saying. And I sympathize with also what Teresa was saying. But I think that you can't find or give them a reason, although they don't need a reason, to just try to hold you down. You've got to just sometimes, as the old folks would say, put on your big girl panties, your drawers, pull them up. They might be big and dropping down, but pull them right back up. And you have just got to keep going, no matter what. And they will try everything in their power. I do believe that in this day and age, it's easier to do without them. Because, traditionally Caymanians came back and there were only so many job opportunities. It was easier for them to blacklist you because of the way societies at the time were structured, the business society and so forth. And they have done all of that to a lot of us. And yet we find a way. I mean, thanks to technology, they can try to blacklist me all they want, but here we are. #1 talk show in the Cayman Islands, #1 news site. And, had we left it up to the likes of Alden McLaughlin, this show wouldn't be here and none of you would be enjoying this program, because not only did he get up in Legislative Assembly and make incorrect remarks about us, but he's done everything in his power to ensure that we are not included in any of the official press briefings or anything else for that matter. So I'm thankful for the technology that's available to me and the fact that I know how to use it and the fact that I will not be stopped by the likes of, what's his name? Alden McLaughlin or anybody else for that matter. And then you do become a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. So Anne talks about the importance of the church and their involvement. I think the church has had a long history with us here in the Cayman Islands. We all believe, that the church does a lot of good work, although oftentimes I know that there are certain issues that they refuse to speak out about. So it looks like our team is having some issues getting in. So I don't know what the issue is, but they're not able to join us this morning. I'm not sure why. maybe try a restart. Yes, sometimes restarting is all you need. Restart life and restart everything. So Crystal mentions the polls. We're ready to talk about it, Crystal. So while we're waiting on them to get the polls sorted out, let me share with you all. This is crazy, right? But let me drop the story. The first thing I'm gonna do is drop it like it's hot, and then we're gonna talk about it. Boom! I hit the publish button. Now you guys are not going to believe this. Charlene is hurry up and drop it. I just dropped it like it's hot. Purple Rain can't stand Tampa. What? Mind you, Tampa has changed since I lived there many, many moons ago. In the early 80s, I moved there. But Tampa is big for me. So now it's, I think, divided into like new Tampa. I don't know if the other sections have old Tampa, but it probably depends on where in Tampa you're at. But there's so many great places, areas of Tampa. There's like, oh God, what's the downtown, like the old area, Ybor City. There's like Ybor City. There is the section on the outskirts of downtown where you've got University of Tampa. There's just so many different areas of Tampa. There's like where the base is. Tampa's pretty big and there's a lot to Tampa, but I'm surprised that you can't stand Tampa. Come on now. There's no area of Tampa that you can stand. Say what? All right, folks. So let's get it. Thank you guys. Thank you, Miss Ethel. Thank you, Elizabeth. Melissa Seymour is her name, future MP. Oh, thank you, Purple Rain. Oh, Melissa was on fire. She made sure to make sure you guys know she's a West Bay. But yes, Melissa was on fire. We have got to invite her on the program. I loved her fire. Yes. Anne says, I told Teresa she's a Bodden towner. She's not allowed to let that happen. She should fight back. It is all politics. Yeah, and sometimes the fight changes because I do get that, especially when you have children, you have got to focus on making sure that your family is your number one priority, because you cannot try to save this country and lose your family in the process. That just doesn't make any sense. But Lynette, thank you so much. So guess what? You guys are not going to believe this. I've just posted this story up. Here the scoop now. Guess what? There is a candidate, and I don't know which candidate it is, who has gone out there and complained. They have complained about the online polls, folks. Did you guys hear what I just said? There is a candidate. You guys have siblings. I guess some of you have siblings, right? Or maybe you have a cousin. And there's always that one kid who is going to go and report on every little thing that you do. You guys know what I'm talking about. No matter what, they're your cousin, they're your sibling, whatever. But they always run to mommy or daddy or somebody and they complain about, oh, but Sandy's doing this to me. And they come with these crocodile tears and stuff, right? And sometimes, I don't know if this has happened to you. Now, I have siblings. I have a lot of siblings, but I didn't really grow up with my siblings. So when I left, I had a cousin in Tampa who was quite a bit older than me. So, he was already an adult, so I didn't really grow up with him. But my aunt used to have a really good friend in Cayman, and she had a grand niece that she raised, Amanda. Now, Amanda used to come with Miss Margaret. You guys probably know who I'm talking about. And Amanda used to come and visit us with her Aunt Margaret in the summer times. And Amanda was sometimes a little bit mischievous, but because she's super cute, the adults used to let her get away with a lot. They'd be like, oh, Amanda, she's so cute. And you know me, I was just like, cute Amanda's about to get us kidnapped in the mall. Some of the stuff that she's doing is so incredibly dangerous. Of course, coming from Cayman, she didn't appreciate some of the things that she was, walk around a little too cute. And these adult men talking about, oh, can I get your number? And you give out my aunt's number. I'm like, Amanda, I'm going to punch you if you give up my aunt's number. Like, you don't know these people. They're total strangers. Next thing you know, you're on Tampa, whatever news saying that this little girl from the Cayman Islands has gone missing. She had no idea because she was so a bit naive, right? And I think Amanda's a little bit younger than me as well. And so just talking about siblings and how, sometimes you can interact. We weren't siblings. We were just good friends. But sometimes when Amanda would come, she would tattletale on me a lot. So I had a dog, a family dog named Prince. He was black and had a little speckle of white like on his chest. And poor Prince, he was a great little dog, but he was a little bit spoiled because when he was younger, he had gotten in a car accident and he wouldn't eat by himself. So one of my duties, taking care of Prince, was to feed him every single day. And sometimes I'd get so sick of this dog because I had to hand feed him. Like if I didn't put it in my hand, Prince wouldn't eat the food. He was super spoiled. So part of my responsibility taking care of the family dog is I had to feed him and whatever. But, he was also super, super sweet. So at the table, he wasn't supposed to be getting table scraps. But, he's a dog. So sometimes he comes and sits down next to me and I'd be like, especially if it was something I didn't really like to eat, I'd be giving it to Prince and she'd be like, Aunt Lottie, Sandra's feeding Prince again. These little tattletales, right? And I was like, Amanda, I'm going to punch you when dinner's over. So listen, we got a tattletale. We don't know who it is, but we have a tattletale in one of the candidates who has ran to the, what would you call it now? Ran to the I guess, election office, and they have told them that these online polls are somehow a problem. I'm not quite understanding what the problem is, but let me just give you the story of what it is, right? Of what the elections office has said and what the RCIPS has said. So we just dropped the story. I was waiting one little thing to be done before doing so. So there's another company that put up their polls before we did. We didn't actually, our poll didn't launch until I think late Sunday, early yesterday morning for the Cayman Decides website. So when I went yesterday afternoon to do the interview with Mr. Wesley, I heard this rumor, not a rumor, I got it straight from the horse's mouth, that the organizer of that first poll, and I'm not naming the person because he is a business owner and he hasn't necessarily branded the website. He just wants it to be, something I guess that people engage in. And so, yes, somebody went and tattletaled and complained that they're losing. I mean, listen, if you're winning in the polls, I don't think you're going to complain. I think, honestly, you're only going to complain if you are a loser and you're a sore loser. So this is what was making me remember about the little tattletale Amanda. And we've all got them in our lives, child. Even as adults, they want to run to somebody and make a complaint. And you're like, okay, it's like McKeeva Bush complaining that I posted a meme. It's like, really, Mr. Bush? You're only like 7 years old. You need to grow up. So somebody just messaged me and said it was probably Juliana. They said it was Judasana who complained. She doesn't like Elvis kicking her butt in the polls. So anyway, listen, folks, you guys need to relax. But the elections office is taking this serious because guess what? The police actually called the owner of the website and said, oh, you may be in contravention of the elections law. Hear this shenanigan, right? And so we're going to have to send this to the DPP. What? Are you kidding me? Listen, election time is serious. As I'm telling you, tomorrow, we will not be playing any memes. We're not going to get in any trouble tomorrow because they are not locking me up over some election infraction, okay? So, yes, it's so petty, Jasara, but someone ran to the elections office. They contacted the police, and the police have now referred the matter to the DPP's office. It's just like, it's an online poll, but you know what it is? I think that our elections law, and I want to bring it up here just for your benefit so that we can review what the police actually said to us for the purposes of our article. I think the elections law is a little bit antiquated, and it has not taken a lot of things fully into consideration. So I don't know why my monitor flickers like this sometimes on screen. There we go. So here it is. Candidate complains to police about online polls. Yes, sir. So they've contacted the police, and the police have said they've referred it to the office of the DPP, and they have, this was their quote, acting on information relative to possible breach of Part 7 of the Elections Act that speaks to the publication of statistical information. Officers contacted the persons connected to the named website, and the information related to the site, possibly conducting online polls about the current Cayman Islands elections. On the face of the information, it would appear that the collected data is then published in real time online, which, if proven, could possibly constitute a breach of the act. Huh? So the elections office, I spoke to the supervisor of elections, and he said that they're taking some legal advice on this. And so here they are. Here's what Part 7 says about publication of statistical information. So a person commits an illegal practice if, in contravention of this part, he publishes statistical information relative to an election. Okay. So does that mean that when we pull on the Cayman Decides website statistical information from past elections, that's also an offense? Like, I'm really confused. So it goes on to say, no statistical information published under this part shall, without the previous consent in writing of the person from whom the information has been obtained, be published in such form as to enable the information to be identified as information relating to that person. So you need the candidate's permission? I don't quite know what that even means. A person who compiles or uses any false statistical information, including an opinion poll, here you know, with a view to exerting an influence upon or affecting an election, commits an illegal practice. Well, that isn't the purpose of, if you're just doing a poll, you're just taking the pulse of the community. You're not trying to influence anyone. So it's interesting that falsification of statistical information, Section 83, which I guess is a separate offense potentially than publication, which is a Section 82 offense. It's just like confusing me. My poor half legal brain is like, this seems really old and outdated. Who doesn't rely on polls? You know, so I think that we probably need to look at revising this Elections Act a little bit. Maybe that should be one of the first orders of business. It doesn't take into consideration the fact that people do polls all the time online. So the most interesting thing about this is, remember last week, we were talking about how there are people going door to door doing a poll that was obviously a progressive-led poll. And so, it's really, really bizarre that type of a poll, because I guess they don't publish it. They're just keeping it for themselves. No, that doesn't offend anyone. I don't know about that. But anyway, listen, click on the green box, go and vote on the polls, and you will see for yourselves what is going on. Now, listen, this is our poll at caymandecides.com. And you know, we put a little disclaimer here at the top. The following poll is for entertainment purposes only. Hopefully that covers both Section 82, 83, 84, and anything else they might come at us with. I told my web guys, make that big and bold. It's a little bit too small. I want it super enlarged so that they can see it. So entertainment purposes only, speculation, not confirmation. Alric Lindsay's kicking somebody's ass. West Bay looks awfully close, folks. It's gonna, and I get the feeling that in the real world, this could be the case, right? We have Georgetown East. Well, it looks like Roy McTaggart at the moment, according to this entertainment poll, is edging out Emily, who's in second place, and then the other candidates are trailing. Dr. Frank is in third place. And listen, polls are what they are. Sometimes there are limitations on who's participating in the poll by geographical location. Sometimes there isn't. You know, it's for entertainment purposes only. Relax yourselves. Take it easy. Georgetown West, it shows that, let me see. Ooh, it shows that Perlina has a slight lead over Elio. Wouldn't that be something? Georgetown Central, it shows that Mr. Kenneth Bryan has a substantial lead over Frank Cornwall. If that was a true depiction, we would probably not be surprised. But again, the poll, disclaimer, folks, this is my legal disclaimer. This poll is for entertainment purposes only. All right, everybody got that? It's for entertainment purposes only. Georgetown North, quite interestingly enough, it shows Johan edging out Mr. Joey Hugh. West Bay Central, bam! Entertainment purposes only. But this is rather entertaining. Kathy kicking his butt. Sorry, Captain Eugene. Now, this is the one that really, it was up to 80-some%, but it's dropped a little bit. This is the one, folks, that listen to me. All right. Let me tell you something here now. If Elvis wins, even by 1%, by one singular vote, not even 1%, by one vote, I am going to Cayman Brac to party, okay? Now, you guys know that I don't drink. But on that day, and I definitely don't smoke, so I won't be smoking anything, but on that day, if Elvis wins, I'm going to the Brac shortly thereafter for the victory dance and the victory party, and I am going to have myself a drink. Now, I don't know what I'm drinking yet. I might have to take a recommendation from Elvis. But then again, Elvis is a little bit hardcore, so I might not want to take, he might give me some rum that'll knock me out for days. But anyway, I'm going to have a little sip of something. So Elvis, bring it home, honey child. This would be, woo! You have no idea how many people would be tickled pink if Juliana O'Connor Conley, Miss Prim and Proper, Christian skirt wearing all the way down to her ankles, was taken out by the likes of Elvis. Pot smoking, boozing, having a good time, but sensible man with a lot of sensible solutions, and he has been the runaway candidate thus far. But this is so incredibly interesting. Could it really happen? I don't know. You know, the reason why you can't really put a whole lot of stock in these polls, folks, is there are probably a lot of really older people who in the BRAC may not have internet. They're her church-going friends and so on. Maybe they don't even know about the polls and they're not participating in the polls. Who knows? Maxine versus Moses. Yep, that wouldn't be much of a surprise. What is going on in West Bay West? This would be another party. Wow. This has Mario edging out Makiva Bush. Now, I tell you what, folks, if this happens, I'm going to West Bay for a party too. I might be partying for a couple of days post-election. We're going to have a CMR party train. But yes, honey child, that one is hot. And this is definitely a race to watch. West Bay North. What are we looking at here? What? Andre. Wow. The margin here on this poll does surprise me because I thought that this would be a lot closer. Well, they both have meetings tonight, folks, Andre and Raul, and we will be covering them both. We've got people all over. There's at least 5 meetings tonight, I think, that we're going to be live streaming, covering because everyone is having their last little hooray. Here we are at North Side. Now, North Side is very close. And again, this is so interesting because this is almost exactly what happened last time. Ezard and Jay neck and neck. And literally, that was the end results in the 2017 election. Mr. Ezard pulled it off by a very small margin. So there's East End. East End has Isaac in the lead by a significant margin. And again, this could be maybe younger voters tend to go online and cast their vote. We've got Bodden Town East. Woo! Another party coming to the east. Ossie kicking donkey man butt. What the heck? He gonna be riding off in the sunset on his donkey, galloping in away, possibly. Again, it's entertainment purposes only. Don't take it so serious, folks. Bodden Town. Oh, sorry, that was Bodden Town. Did I say Bodden Town East? Yes. And this now is Bodden Town West, and we have Chris Saunders. being victorious in this entertainment poll over Mr. Vincent Frederick. Poor Vincent. If he gets beaten that badly, what a hot mess. Now, they were running around yesterday because, you know, the progressives and their alliance people are getting very, very desperate. They were running around yesterday claiming that Mr. Saunders had been locked up for money laundering. I was like, what? So I called Chris. I'm like, Chris, where are you? He's like, I'm at Foster's. I'm like, okay, people, calm down. Mr. Saunders has not been arrested. He's not in jail. This is another lie, another rumor. It's like, how low can you go? What? Somebody else getting an assing right in the District of Newlands. We're going to be bringing Wayne on the show here shortly. So it shows him with a significant lead over Mr. Alva Saku. Wow. Well, folks, Savannah, we got Heather in the lead. You know, I must say that Gianna has gotten more votes than I thought. She's at 7%. So a few more people vote for her and she might get her money back, because remember, you need 10% to get your $1,000 back. Prospect. Looks like it's going to be a tight race. Entertainment purposes only. Sabrina and Michael. Austin is being left in the dust. What's going on in Red Bay? Woo! Another party. Lord, I don't know if I can handle it. You guys are going to have me partying straight into next week. Sammy has a significant lead over Alden McLaughlin in her entertainment poll. Could this actually be the case? Lord, Jesus, take the wheel. Take it now, because I can't handle all that partying. I haven't partied like that since I was probably in my early 20s and trying a little thing in university. So I don't know how that's going to work. Let's read your comments before we bring in some of our guests who are patiently waiting. Purple Rain says, I heard that Barbara said to keep her and PPM in because we know what we have, but we don't know what we're going to get. Somewhat true, Barbara, except we do know what we're hoping to get, relief. You know, that's the stupidest, that logic, and I've said this before, makes no sense. Keep what you have, even if it's horrible, even if it's bad, because you don't know what you're getting, you're taking a chance. Well, listen, some of the best things in life were received because you decided to take a chance and you kicked out the old garbage that you had and said, okay, I'm done with the trash, take it out, bring in something new, and boom, you all of a sudden like, wow, who knew it could be this good? So that logic, you know, what she should have been doing is talking about what she has done for the people other than fix that one little pond in the past 4 years. Now, someone contacted me yesterday, and I'm not going to completely throw this individual under the bus, but I'm looking at certain people with a very interesting side eye. And they were like, do you have any dirt on Alric? And I was like, dirt on Alric? What the hell are you talking about? Yes, honey child, because we have to produce a smear campaign for Barbara going into the election, the last day, and I need to give her something. And I said, well, honey child, you were out of luck. I feel sorry for you. But dirt on Alric, nobody's perfect. But Barbara herself better try and keep her mouth shut. Because if you start to try to open Pandora's box on other people, when your shit stinks, it probably isn't going to end well for you. But I don't have any dirt on Alric. Everybody knows he has a baby mama, and she might be trying to go around giving some people in Barbara's camp information, but Alric has kept himself tight in that regard. He has all of his receipts. He pays all of his child support, and he does his best to have a relationship with his child. So she can complain because they're not in a relationship, but God knows that ain't a sin. Because if that was, most of you all would be in jail right now because you don't have a relationship with your baby mama or whoever. So, sorry, can't help you, Barbara. Ain't got no dirt there. But again, that's not what a campaign is about. It should really be about you focusing on what you have accomplished and relying on your track record to show people why they should vote for you. When you start to tear down your opponents, we know you're getting desperate. Mirstar suggesting some Smirnoff. All right, honey child, gonna ease into it. We'll get some rest today, but today is going to be a relatively busy day. Charlene says, good common sense. Hi, Gabby. She says to make sure you drink for me too. Dana says Elvis lives. Sharon says we're gonna have to do a charter flight because we're all going to the BRAC. Merstar says, hold them, Elvis. Yes, honey child. That would be, oh my gosh. I think, was it Elvis that said that he got dropped down dead from shock with a heart attack? And so will Juliana. So they're going to have to immediately have a by-election to find her replacement. So Purple Rain says, if Elvis wins, I'm not drinking. I'm going to smoke a spliff. Well, I'm not telling you to do that because when you get arrested, don't come talking to me about it. So you're an adult. Do what you want to do. Miss Sue says, oh, the preacher who can't speak needs to go. Enough is enough. Evelyn says no work for her on Thursday. She's taking the day off. Georgetown Central is going to be where it's at. Kenneth Bryan have Jake Scott trucks all parked up. Oh, my Lord. West Bay West. Yes, that would be a shocker. Oh, my gosh. I don't know what McKeeva would do. You think McKeeva would beat himself up if he lost? I'm just wondering. How does that work? Like he might pull his own hair or something. I don't know. We'll be there to record it, McKeeva. Keep yourself calm. Jay all the way says Lacey. Charlene says Andre in West Bay South. So it's definitely getting heated up, folks. This time tomorrow, the polls will be open. Let's pull in Heather, Wayne, and Ossie. Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing fine, Sandra. Thank you very much. And good morning to the Cayman Islands, our wonderful, beautiful home, and all of our incredible residents and citizens.
Yes.
Good morning.
Jay Buster here.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning.
Enjoying your entertainment. I like the way, Sandra, I like the way you qualified every single reference to every single one of those polls by saying for entertainment purposes only.
Exactly.
I find it amazing that somebody would go and basically file a complaint on that basis. And I'd have to go and look at the law specifically, but I'm sure the context of that specific provision about publishing statistics cannot apply to something like this. It's certainly not the first time we've had one of these things.
Yeah.
I mean, every election for the last elections, we've had this sort of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And I think, like I said earlier, normally people who tattletale, they know that they're up to no good themselves or that they're going to lose or they're not happy for some reason. And that is the driving force behind the complaint. And it's unfortunate because it's like, come on. You know, it is for entertainment purposes. No one is like, well, these are definitely registered voters. Nobody's saying that. Anybody could be voting in this poll. You know, I could hand it to, although I haven't seen my Gucci in over a week. I don't know where he's disappeared to, but, you know, I could hand it to the Gucci and be like, here, press your little paw on this. You know, people just take themselves too seriously sometimes, guys. And you have got to have a sense of humor. Now, I know that you guys have been busy. Wayne and Heather, on Saturday, I kept up with you a little bit. I was so tired at the end of Saturday after Sammy's meeting. But you guys had two wonderful events. You had your community coffee and breakfast, which was well attended. I know you catered for, I think, 80-something people is what I heard someone say, but more than that definitely showed up. It was so wonderful to see young, old, in between, people just sitting down, relaxing, having some breakfast, and getting an opportunity to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. It was wonderful. You know, and thank you for joining us there. You know, this is something that has been going on for some time. I think the COVID period last year, the lockdown period, obviously stopped it all, and then we restarted it after the second half of last year. But it's something that we've been doing for quite a while, and it's extremely well received. The seniors that we typically do it for absolutely love it. But guess what? We showed up that morning, and we were joined by the police who were there to investigate a report, which was a complaint which was filed against us that we were treating people.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
I mean, we're treating people to a very, I'm not going to say what the price is. Well, I will. It's probably about $5
a head, yeah,
maybe $6 a head, something like that. A special price that they give us because this is the restaurant there at Simboco, because they're they're contributing to their community as well. You know, and I mean, I was astonished that somebody would be idle enough to go and file a report like that.
Wow.
I mean, the police, we love them. They're doing their jobs, and we are completely cooperative. But it was just astonishing to have something like that happen when, you know, we've been doing this for such a long time, and it's so well received that, you know, it smacks of desperation, and from my perspective. But that's okay. Let them go on. Let them say what they want to say. We're focused on doing what we need to do, and that's building our community and serving our constituents. And if this is how we can do it to help add, you know, a significant quality of life to their lives and their being here, that's fantastic. They can call the police all they want.
My goodness, that is just the height of pettiness right now.
Yep.
But you know what? We're almost there. We're in the last 200 meters. So you guys just need to stay the course. You know, continue to stay focused on your game. Heather, it was so good to see you at the constituency office where you have been holding down the fort for the past 4 years. I loved your little workspace area, all about family. Which, you know, I was reminiscing with you and your mom. Now, a lot of people, sometimes I forget how long I've actually been in politics. Almost immediately as I came back to Cayman back in 96, I got involved. And I think there was there a by-election in 97 where you and Mr. Anthony ran and you got in, I think, on that by-election? Was that 97? 95. So I came right after that, I think, and I was working with you and Anthony, doing a lot of campaign stuff way before parties even got started. And when you were reminiscing about your mom, I had so many fond memories of her, always being out there supporting you. And of course, my best memory of her is on that lawn mower.
A lot of people are remembering her now for that same thing. That was her exercise. She said she loved to cut that 3 acres once a month or sometimes twice a month. But she was adamant about getting on that riding lawnmower and just taking in all that sunshine and just smelling that nice fresh cut grass.
Yeah. So you know, I know that she will be there for you. Tonight is your big. You and me are hosting your final rally of this political season. Give us a little bit of information about that event and what we can expect.
Okay, well, we're going to start the rally in the empty lot of land right next to my house across from Savannah Meadows. We're going to get started there very early, where all the cars will line up, and then we'll start, I guess, about 6:15, and we'll head down through Savannah, and then we'll cut through Spots Newlands Road. So those people in Spots Newlands will get a chance to hear and see us, and then we'll come out on the east-west arterial. But before that, we're going to go across the street from my house over to Savannah Meadows. So Savannah Meadows, you all be out there. We're coming through all those new paved roads that we just got done. So look forward to that, as well as then we're going to go down the east-west arterial and come up into my mom's. We may pull in a few other areas, but that's the route for right now. But you'll hear the horns, you'll hear the loud what's other horns? The bull horns. I think that's bull horns. Yes, bull horns. Yeah, you'll hear all of those.
Well, Melinda says that she's excited. She says, "You're killing me today. Great way to start the day, full of laughter. Why not?" We're going to go into this campaign on high spirits and hopeful that we come out on even higher spirits when the right individuals are elected. So folks, this is going to be the final campaign. This is the finale tonight for Heather and Wayne. They're starting at Mary Bodden's yard. Is that where it actually starts?
No, we're starting at my yard with the rally, and then we're going to end at my mom's yard with the meeting.
Yeah, so what you're showing is the meeting.
Okay, nice. All right, folks. So mark your calendars. There's a lot going on tonight, I must say. It's got to be the single busiest election evening without a doubt. Ossie, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, Sandra. I'm good. Good morning, everyone.
Now, I know you had a fantastic event on Saturday. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it because I went to the Newlands and Savannah one first, and then I heard everybody said, "Oh man, you missed Ozz's because his was so incredible, but it started early." So I didn't get to you because you started a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we started just after 7, but we had the same thing. There were 2 of my police friends waiting on me, basically. So amazing to see and know what we know has happened in Bodden Town East for so long.
Oh my gosh. Seriously.
And all of the rumors surrounding that, but there were no police at those events. But showed up at my event on my own property. Where if I want to give away my gas station, I can give it away, can't I?
Yes. What a hot mess.
So we had a lovely event on Grapetree Beach, and it was a beautiful meet and greet. We had some nice breakfast, Caribbean breakfast for the folks that came out. And we had over 200 people pass through there that morning. And they were all supporters, largely, I would say 95% supporters. So it was a really successful event. Very proud of it, all the hard work that went into it. But we're here, Sandra. Tomorrow is it. This has been a 14-week run that I don't want to do again in life. It's when I can see me and Wayne just sitting there now having breakfast, talking about life, talking about things. And the next thing you know, we're in the middle of a campaign, and we got Yaya here with us, and she's been a bundle of energy and sunshine for us, and keeping us, mothering us, and keeping us going. But
she drinks more coffee.
She drinks more coffee.
Right now.
I think what you have here is a good team. You have a team of minded people who really love their communities and their island, and it's looking pretty much like a BT sweep. So we're looking forward to that.
Bodden Tanners are known to do it, you know.
Oh yeah, we always do things, yeah.
Oh yes, honey.
Always know how to do it well too. So
that's for sure.
So tonight is my finale as well, where on the exact same location where I started, next to Lookout and Bernice Bodden and Anton Bodden Junction behind the school. It's going to be an interesting night because you got his big show out on the main road by the town hall, I understand, and we're on the back road. So one of us is going to drown out the other. I'm not sure who, but we shall see. It should be a good one. I think we're going to have a big turnout, and we're looking forward to, keeping it clean as usual, doing what we have to do, letting the people understand our platform, and taking it to the victory tomorrow.
Now, since we're in the mood for some good laughter this morning, I did receive this meme that I cannot help but share. This one had me cracking up. So folks, let's get ready for this one. You guys are so ridiculous. I don't know who did that, but honestly, you guys need to behave. You can imagine if I played that tomorrow, you guys would have me locked up. They would have me under the jail, not even in the jailhouse. Oh my God, that was so funny. I mean, honestly, that was really funny. Yes. And I don't know who does these, but they're really funny. Some of them are really funny. And of course, and that one, they had Ozzy beating everybody up. Hold on one second. Let me bring you back in, Ozzy. Ozzy, they got you beating everybody up, boy. I don't know.
The thing is, Sandra, it took me by surprise because all the beat up part was okay, but then at the end, I really thought that, my boy had gotten away, right?
Oh God!
That's so funny.
Hold on. This is for entertainment value only, right?
Yeah. Entertainment purposes only.
God. Yes, disclaimer. Entertainment purposes only. But it's like, you know, when you think you've gotten away with something and then that little bit gets oh my gosh.
Oh, we're going to do a lot of laughing tonight. Trust me. It's going to be a fun rest of the day.
Dana says something smells. So on a more serious note, we do have some serious endorsements for Ossie that are real endorsements. So let's play a few of those, folks. Here's one for Miss Lacey Barnes.
My name is Lacey Barnes, 3-time Curfew champion in the track and field event of shot put and discus, and also Cayman Islands record holder for both events. Now, I don't know too much about politics, nor do I typically become involved in politics. But what I do know, or who I do know, is Mr. Osborne Bodden. And in his time in government as Minister of Sports, he showed nothing but support and positivity for the young athletes of the Cayman Islands. Mr. Bodden would always show up to local track meets and other sporting events to show his support for the athletes. I'll never forget, after the 2016 Curfew Games, I had just secured my gold medal and silver medal for Cayman in shot put and discus, and so many other athletes competed so well. Mr. Bodden was waiting at the airport at home, ready to congratulate us for our hard work. Not to mention, our flight was delayed that night, and we actually reached back home around 3 a.m. I was ecstatic to see that our Minister of Sports took the initiative to still come up there at 3 o'clock in the morning just to welcome home the athletes of the Cayman Islands who competed so well for our country. As a local sports advocate for the youth of the Cayman Islands, it has always been Mr. Bodden's true care and appreciation for the athletes that has stuck with me for these many years. Even in his time out of government, he would always still check in with different athletes, making sure that we're doing well, our progress is continuing up forward, and that we want for nothing. This is the type of actions that I appreciate from anyone in relations to supporting of athletes. And this is the Mr. Bodden that I know.
Absolutely beautiful. And I should tell you that Lacey continues to set records. Just over the weekend, I got additional information that she set another record, I think, for both her school, and it might be a record for Cayman as well. So at some point, we've got to catch up with Lacey because she's doing a lot academically and in her athletic career. So she's doing very, very well at her school. I'm just trying to, she has a school record for the discus at 51.52 meters. And she also has a national record for the discus with that same 51.52 meters. And of course, this was this weekend at the Texas A&M Team Invitational. And that's a UTSA track and field event. So big shout out to Lacey Barnes. Well done. I know that her parents are so incredibly proud of her. Now let's just do one more endorsement from a Mr. Matthew Ebanks. Of course, everyone knows Matthew as an athlete and also an artist.
Hello, my name is Matthew Banks, and I am a Special Olympian of Cayman Islands, who I represent as Special Olympics Cayman Islands as a track and field, who are a track star. And I represent Cayman Islands for a long time, and I know Mr. Osborne Bodden is a good man who is a Minister of Sports and Culture, but he is a very good Minister of Sports as special man as he is. I represented his track and field about from 2015 when he was in 2015 with us in Los Angeles, that we representing our good and memories of him, that he is a very, very special man. And what you see that he has been so good to us as well. We're not the only Special Olympics, but all of us as Carifta, Cayman Swimming, Cayman Islands Boxing Association, Special Olympics, all around the events that he have attended to as well. He shows up with his smile and comes supporting everything, but he never missed that world without us. But we love him so much as well, and we do wanted to say thank you for all of the memories of the sports, of his dreams, the passion of he was, and we accomplished for his Minister of Sports that he always attend to us as well. He encouraged us and gave us smile and gave us blessed for his representing, as he is a cabinet as member from Panton East, who representing, and and Cayman Islands. He was the best minister of sports that he would never ever let us down, but he wanted us to give himself as a very, very special, good relationship to us, and we wanted to say that he is a good as a best man, as a good family to sports as Cayman, that we love him so very, very deeply in our hearts. We know Mr. Osborne Bodden, that he has shared for his dignities of what he had did for the past. Like he went to travel the world, that he went to Brazil, he went to other places he goes with the Football Association and FIFA World Cup, all of the attendance as well. And as Special Olympics, once again, that we are really appreciated for his representing his time loans of his really loved us as well. And as Special Olympian, I wanted to say that Mr. Osborne Bodden is a good man and is a good candidate who is representing himself. And on behalf of Special Olympics, Cayman Islands, and family as sports, that we wanted to say, we love you, Ossie, and we are dignity and accomplished to hear from you more. And we love you as always. Because I look at this picture of him and smile, he always is good to us. No matter where you are the best, Mr. Ossie.
All right, folks. So we hear a lot of people in this day and age talking about inclusion, but look at this, folks. This young man is a Special Olympian, and as I said, we also know him as an artist. And he's talking about how he has felt included, and how much Mr. Osborne Bodden has supported him over the years as the Minister of Sports and just as a good person in the community. So let's hear another sponsorship video from Heather, and then one from Wayne, and then we're going to pull them back in to wish them good luck in tomorrow's race.
The Savannah community is near and dear to my heart. I have lived in Savannah and Newlands all my life. I have always made it my mission to look out for those in our society who may not always have a voice. I have served as chairperson for the Savannah and Newlands Community Development Action Committee for the past 29 years. Working within Savannah Newlands, I have organized beautification projects, senior citizens events, neighborhood watch programs, and a host of children's activities. I love this community and I love my country. This is what we mean by community creates country. By working within our communities, we make our country better. I hope to be able to continue my community work on a national level, representing each and every one of you.
All right, folks, that's Heather Bodden, Community Creates Country. And Heather has been involved in this community, as she has said, her entire life. I've worked with her personally in a number of projects, including the annual Senior Citizens Party. So, working in her community is nothing new to Heather, and she will continue to do just that. And Wayne Panton up next.
I came to public service from a successful 30-year career in the private sector. I have benefited from opportunities that were made available to me, and I want to help other Caymanians achieve their full potential and have the same opportunities I had. The truth is, I think the call to serve my country is ingrained in me. I could not just walk away and abandon the people who believe in me. I come from a long line of family members who were public servants, so the desire to get involved in government and contribute to the success of my country is compelling. Once I became a member of government, I realized that not only was it some of the most rewarding work I've done in my life, but it also felt natural. Some may say I have the qualifications and experience to run for government, and this may be true, but the most important reason why I should be considered as a very strong choice is that I am committed to one thing and one thing only, and that is making a positive difference in the lives of the people who call these islands home.
All right, folks, here's your trio right here. Community Creates Country. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the program today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. We enjoy it as always, and we're looking forward to closing out, this campaign with success. We feel very good about our chances, and we are extremely excited about the opportunity that we feel that our communities are going to give us to deliver on our promises and to make a real difference in the lives of our people. And both from a big focus that we have from a community perspective, but also nationally. And we've all got the skill, we've got the experience, we've got the ability to deliver for our people. We love our country, we love our people, and we're not going to disappoint them.
Well, thank you guys so much. And I know that we'll be feeding through some of your events tonight. Again, folks, I think we're doing at least 6 live feeds tonight, 3 that we will physically be at, and others, thanks to the beauty that technology offers us, we'll still be able to offer you those events as well. So make sure you keep it locked to Cayman Mall Road. It's going to be a hot night. Good luck to all of you.
Thank you, Sandra. Sandra,
before we go, I want to file a complaint against Ossie. He didn't bring us any fish and fritters. So he better show up tomorrow with some fish and fritters for us.
Today's Tuesday, man. We're not open.
I don't care. Don't matter. You left us out Saturday.
I'll take you for breakfast at Simboko.
I had a plan. I was going to do the Simboko breakfast and then stop by Aussie's and get fish and fritter for later. But, I just spent so much time.
He owe you two then, Sandra. Okay.
Yeah, I owe you a lot because especially after that morning on the beach together, I definitely owe you a breakfast.
Yeah.
Sandra, I just want to say, it's been fun working with you as well. You've done a great job over this time for us, this period, and all of the media who have supported and all the people who have worked with us. It's amazing, that we have managed to do this and keep it all above board and nice and clean.
Absolutely.
Compared to those on the other side. In fact, the incumbent government surprisingly is where all of the smear and all the stuff has come from, and it's I don't know why they're so threatened, but the people will have their say. People will have their say tomorrow, and we're looking forward to uniting everyone, whether you supported us or not. We don't see color, we don't see stature, we don't see anything. We see people, Caymanian people, and we want to help them, and that's what our focus is, and we hope that people appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And again, today the office is open all day, so if anybody needs to stop by, we're here.
As we have been.
They have printed manifestos at the office, so you can stop by and grab a manifesto.
Grab a manifesto. Here it is. Okay.
Yes. Ask them questions about anything that you might need clarification on. So good luck to Wayne, Heather, and Ossie. Tomorrow's it, folks. Get out there and vote. We want to have the biggest voter turnout ever.
Community creates country, guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Sandra.
You're welcome, guys. Have a good one.
Motorcade this evening.
Yes, come on out for the motorcade, coming out for Aussie's final meeting if you're in Bodden town. Folks, I see all of the blue hearts are trending. So CC started the red flags and they have been trending. By the way, I've got my red flag here. So every time this government has said something that was just totally ridiculous, we needed to take out the red flag and wave the red flag at them. And you guys have started now with the blue heart for Community Creates Country. So Wayne and Heather and Ossie have started a new social media trend. They don't even know it, but blue hearts trending all over the place. Folks, we have gone a little bit over into overtime, but as you guys know, we're not clock watchers so much around here. But we've had another wonderful show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. So tomorrow's show, we're going to have a lot to talk about. Again, I want you all to be mindful of your comments in particular. So I can't block comments, obviously, during the show, but we want to be on our best behavior. So don't do any promotions while the polls are open until 6 p.m. Don't do any promotions in terms of your candidates. Don't tell us who you vote for. Keep that to yourselves until 6 o'clock. At 6 p.m. when the polls close, then we can pop off. We can get what they call a shambong with some champagne in it and whatever. And we can start the party early because we're expecting some good results. But during the day, from 7 a.m., polls open at 7 o'clock, until 6 p.m. We will be on our best behavior. We're going to be talking about things and talking about issues, but we don't even want to get close to crossing the lines. I want all of you to spread the word to ensure that you are well behaved. Okay, folks? Got it? Thank you, Miss Elizabeth. I think that last video with the little animation was so good, which, by the way, go and vote in the polls if you have not done so already. Let me just share the poll link here, encouraging you to go and vote in our entertainment only poll. Big up yourselves. Thank you, Lynette. Irvelyn, you can't turn off comments. That's the thing. You actually can't turn off comments on Facebook. So you guys are going to have some restraint and just behave yourselves. All right. So I've got to do my part 2. And I want to get this in before election day, although this is an opinion piece. On that 3-minute audio note. So I'm going to try to record that this morning to get that uploaded for this evening before all the meetings pop off. Hey, Curtis joining us from Cayman Brack. He said it's going to be hard for me to not say vote progressives 2022 tomorrow, but I can do it. Well, you can say vote progressives 2022 because we're in 2021. So yes, honey child, tell them to go out and vote in 2022 for the progressive. That's okay because there's no election in 2022. So anyway, let's end the show with another good note. Laughter is the best medicine, folks. Let's watch that Ossie video one more time.
And now, get ready for a full day of election coverage, including historical analysis, candidate bios, polling station coverage, and much more. 8 commentators covering over 50 years. Audience participation makes it your most interactive resource on Election Day. Don't miss it. Miracle Brokers International is Cayman's premier source for all your packing, moving, and logistics needs. Whether it's moving a baby grand piano for a concert or moving halfway around the world, we have you covered with our team of local and international experts. MBI has over 30 years of industry experience and are able to get the job done for you right the first time. Contact us today for all your packing, moving, shipping, and logistics needs at 949-5989 or email info@miraclebrokers.com.
There's 3 major things that has to be addressed in the Cayman Islands: cost of living, diversifying the economy, and self-sufficiency. And when I talk about self-sufficiency, I'm talking about our ability, our capacity to be able to take care of ourselves. Let's focus on agriculture, where all of us want to make sure that we're hoping for the best. We always have to be prepared for the worst case scenario. Just imagine for a second if a hurricane was to come and sit between here and Florida, just like Hurricane Mitch did in 1998 in Honduras. What would happen? I would bet you the shelves would be empty, or at the minimum, very much depleted. That in itself should be able to identify to us that there is a major problem in terms of our capacity to feed ourselves here in the Cayman Islands. We have to solve that problem. And that's why if and when elected, I'm going to head out east and see if we can free up a lot of this locked land, open it up for opportunities for agriculture as well as other types of development. And when it comes to farming, whether it be livestock or plant life, I believe we can look beyond the borders of the Cayman Islands. What's preventing us from going to countries like Jamaica or to Honduras and actually owning or buying farms that are already functioning and operating and even exporting to other countries, making it Cayman Islands property? I believe that that's absolutely possible. In addition to that, creating opportunities for our local investors to be able to invest into those companies and other persons through their pensions accounts as well. To me, the opportunities are tremendous, and that's my vision. The Cayman Islands for decades have been dependent upon tourism and financial services. I believe an important way forward for this country is to find ways to diversify the economy. Not to leave those industries behind, but to find new industries. That's one of the reasons I worked on things like the Dr. Shetty Hospital between 2009 and 2013. And with this, I was working on medical research. Medical research is over a $36 billion market within the United States. And if we can capture just a mere 1% of that market, we're talking potentially putting $360 million in the government coffers, not to mention the jobs for Caymanians, as well as additional monies being put into the Cayman Islands economy. The opportunities are great. Typically, companies are given 20-year patents. They spend 8 years doing the research and only 12 years to recoup their money. I believe that in the Cayman Islands, we can check all the regulatory boxes, but reduce that 8 years and reduce the spend. Medical research, that's the way forward.
Okay, good afternoon, folks. We're here at the elections headquarters in Baytown Plaza, right in West Bay Road, having a quick word with Mr. Wesley Howell, who is Supervisor of Elections. Mr. Howell, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for taking some time out of our busy day, out of your busy day,
ours
is busy too, to spend just a few minutes with us. Can you just give us a quick synopsis of what we can expect to happen over the next couple days in terms of the election? We're literally 2 days out from Wednesday, the general election.
Yeah, so we've wrapped up mobile polling yesterday afternoon. We polled persons in quarantine. We did some in the Brac on Saturday and Grand Cayman on Sunday. So now all of our attention is geared towards finalizing all of the materials and staff needed to conduct the polls on Wednesday. Everybody's in quite high gear in the back end here proceeding. We also have quite a steady flow of voters coming in to get their ID cards. So remind folks that ID cards are preferred, but if you have another form of identification like a driver's license or a passport, then you could also use that to vote as well.
Mm-hmm. And the only reason you would really need a new voter's ID card is if some information on that card has changed, such as your name or polling station.
Absolutely. So the new cards are printed with the electoral district. Some folks have the older blue card. Those existed before we had the 19 single member electoral district. So example, some of the older cards would refer to Bodden Town as the electoral district, whereas Bodden Town, traditional Bodden Town is now 4 separate electoral districts, and the new cards would either specify Savannah, Newlands, Bontown East, or Bontown West.
Okay, wonderful. Now, on election day, I know you guys are going to be very, very busy, but for the benefit of voters, can you tell us what times the polls open, what time they close, and what is the protocol for them actually going to a polling station in order to vote?
Yeah, so polls open sharp promptly at 7. They close at 6. Anybody within the confines of the polling station at 6 p.m. will be allowed to cast their vote if they're there before 6 p.m. Protocols are, there's no advertising, no campaigning on election day, so please don't wear your candidate or party t-shirts to the polls, whether or not you're an agent candidate or a voter. And because we have such large number of persons expected to come out, we're advising folks to wear a mask, and we'll have masks available if they would like to wear one. But a mask is definitely not required to vote. So if you choose not to wear a mask, you will still be able to cast your vote. Again, bring your ID, and we can then advise you which polling station you go to vote in, and allow you to cast your vote in secret and very efficiently.
There are some concerns regarding the fact that this particular year, maybe for the first time in a while, there will not be any international observers on the island, but I know the governor's office has put together a group of local observers who will be monitoring the process.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there's any need for people to be concerned at all because that's happening in any way?
Not at all. So each candidate is allowed to appoint 2 agents per polling station. We have 64 polling stations.
Wow.
So that's a whole lot of agents. And trust me, the agents are probably going to be more interested in what goes on in the polling station than the observers will, particularly because they're everywhere. And we really, as part of our process, is very transparent. So from the time we open and show the ballot box open and empty on the morning before we seal it at 7 a.m., the candidates, if they've appointed their agents as it's allowed under the Elections Act, will have somebody with that box from the time it's sealed up through to the time it's counted. And the agent can then see every folded ballot, so they can't see what's on the ballot, but every folded ballot that's dropped in that box. So a very transparent process. Nothing is done sort of behind that ballot box. Is always in full view of the agents. So that's a very transparent process. It doesn't exist in all other countries. So from that, I think the voting public can take great comfort that between the 9 domestic observers that were appointed, as compared to the 7 international that were appointed back in 2017, and the fact that candidates can appoint numerous agents. So if you look at an electoral district like Newlands, there's 5 polling stations, so that's 10 agents per candidate. So I mean, their numbers are quite significant and provide an important check and balance in our process.
Right. So when the polls close and all the ballot boxes are ready to go, do they go to a central location for the count, or how does the actual count happen?
The count happens at the same location that the ballots are being cast. It might be in a separate room, a different room. But again, the agents can actually accompany the ballot boxes until they're secured by the returning officer, who then gets ready for the count. The only difference there is in Cayman Brac East and West, they will be transported to the Ashton Ready Center for Cayman Brac West, and the multipurpose hall at the sports complex for Cayman Brac East.
Okay, and finally...
And again, the agents can accompany those boxes with the police officers on the bus from the polling station to the counting station, again, always in clear view of them.
Okay, wonderful. And one final question, in terms of the, oh gosh, just slipped me what I was gonna ask you, but... Oh yes, the list of polling locations. Where can people find that? I understand that's easily available on your website.
Yeah, so the list of polling locations available on our website. We've added some graphics to that, and we're actively working on a media campaign now that will push those locations out. The locations are the same as 2017, with the exception of West Bay Central, which was at the Ed Bush field last time. That was not totally adequate size-wise for that location, so we've actually switched that to the church on Captain Reginald Parsons Drive. So that's the only change of location other than where we were in 2017. But for new voters, that'll be online we're publishing telephone numbers for folks to call us if they're confused. And the list is available to search by name and electoral district, so folks will know exactly where they are.
Okay, folks, thank you so much, Mr. Wesley. We really appreciate all the hard work that you and your office are undertaking going into the election. Any idea what time you think the final count, given the numbers, can you estimate of when we might have like some final decisions roughly?
We're hoping for around midnight to be complete with everything.
Awesome.
We have added almost 2,400 voters since 2017, so there are more ballots to count. But in some cases, some of the races are just head-to-head with just two candidates.
Right.
So those actually can be counted a bit
makes it
faster. So I'm still hoping to be home in the wee hours of the morning this time around. And we should be getting the small electoral districts, Kimmerbach, East, West, East and North side in around about the 10 o'clock period. So.
Okay, wonderful. So again, folks, this is the Superintendent of the Elections, Mr. Wesley Howell. Thanks again to you and your team. And tune in, folks, on Wednesday. We'll have tons of coverage and keep you guys abreast of what's going on in all of the different polling stations.
Thanks.
A new dawn is on the horizon, shedding light on a new era as we reimagine the way forward. Hi, I'm Sabrina Turner, and I want to be your voice, your hope, your choice for Prospect. Life has changed abruptly and profoundly, but it's now more vital than ever that we work together to ensure the safety, health, and prosperity of the Cayman Islands as we rebuild an even more resilient future that is based on a foundation of national pride and unity. It's time to rethink our direction. It's time to look at the way we do things. It's time your voice is heard. It's time your hope for our country's future becomes a reality. It's time the right choice is made. I want to help you realize your hopes and dreams and be that voice for you. The time is now to rejuvenate Prospect and make it the vibrant community that it was, and approach issues such as beautification, safety, flooding, and crime as we proactively deal with issues such as neighborhood nuances and unemployment. As your representative, safeguarding the lives and livelihoods of the people of Prospect will always be at the forefront of all that I do. And together, we can be the voice of change and the hope for a better tomorrow. I am Sabrina Turner, and I want to be your voice, your hope, your choice for Prospect.
And I want my vote. And to do something about the discrimination that Caymanians face on a day-to-day basis within the workforce. And to do something about the bullying within the schools. Then you can talk to me. You do something about the unemployed people of my community. And I'm not talking about after COVID, I'm talking about before it. Because it's been going on for years. We vote you guys in and you guys go up there and you argue about nothing and make no changes. I'm tired of it, man. It's 2021. I can barely afford groceries, light, water, and I'm paying somebody else's mortgage. You wanna know why? Because I can't even afford a house. I got my mother and my father asking me why I don't have a house. Your Cayman is no longer for Caymanians. And it hurts my heart to say that. Because Cayman is no longer for us. What children have?
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.